Live tonight on American Zombie. Like, say what's up to everyone. Calix, good to see you, brother. Baby Bronson. Yeah, man. So you want people to learn from you. Cheers, brother. Peace and blessings, man. Man, it's good, man. Sober. Hey, sobriety is real, brother. Sobriety is real, bro. It's just and it ain't a report card. Whatever you do, man, moderation. And there's a lot of things that people might try to be a little strict on, but I would say take it one day at a time, man. You take it one day at a time and see where it goes. It's good to hear that you're doing good. That's definitely yeah, man. Are we all in the Truman Show? That's the topic. I'm always open to conversation, learning, going in different directions, as long as it stays kind of close to what we're talking about, unless it's something really, really deep, because that's what it's about, finding other survivors in the zombie apocalypse. Just like a zombie movie. And just like in a zombie movie, you can become zombified again. We all have a little bit of it in us. But the Truman Show, the reason that I put that up there is, some of the stuff that I've noticed in the scenes of this show that are very similar to real life scenarios. The part where she begins to like do the commercial ad at the camera when he begins to suspect in the kitchen, I mean, that part says a lot. That part reminds me of how people in society will market something to you for the machine without even know they're marketing it. And it's as if we're in an advertising type of experiment, so to say, when we look at that scene in the Truman Show. But the overall meaning, right, the deeper meaning, is a journey from blissful ignorance to enlightened freedom. And this challenges the viewers to examine their own perceived limitations and the scripts they follow. So that's going even a step deeper to say, hey, there's a script that we follow, and sometimes we don't realize that we're still following a script. Maybe it's a script we were paid to follow in work and another part of life. And we forget that it's time to stop following the script. It's time to take off the costume, basically. This is something that we've talked about in different fields. Taking off the costume. Drew Ma, good to see you, man. Yeah, the Truman Show, as many other movies that deal with people waking up from different realities. I mean, when you think about it, it's about a type of liberation, a type of mental liberation. A lot of people, as we see, have that. I mean, they're comfortable in Fantasy Island. They're comfortable. There's nothing you can't wake a zombie up. Mark Twain was right. No amount of evidence can convince someone that doesn't, want to look at it even. But the core theme, the reality versus the fake, was the core theme, right? In the Truman Show. And the questions, what is real? What is real? Truman's entire thing has been constructed, and he doesn't know. The media, consumerism, how it, the power that it has to control the narrative on television and media itself, and predict the obsession with reality shows like Big Brother. So, I mean, when we looked at the Jerry Springer thing, I mean, it was just drama, gossip and drama that sold. Allegory of the Cave, Plato's, that comes in there too. Free will, determination, that as well. So there's a few points that Truman Show touches on: spiritual awakening and the hero's journey. The hero's journey is another one. So, that's something where we would say, okay, it's the classic quest, right? It's the face and the you step into the unscripted future. You the metaphor for personal growth, the finding one's true self, if that can ever really be found, but at least shedding the self that you think you are to see something else. That I think it can be taken to deeper depths. The delusion, it came from the psychological condition where people believe their secret lives are filmed, or their lives are, filmed in secret. And it reflects a paranoia, a feeling of being watched in the digital age. Now, we know that everything is basically under surveillance. It's almost at a point where our thoughts are basically under surveillance. Divine Hazel, good to see you. She says, hello, I've never watched TV at all. Yeah, that's a good thing. That's a good thing. It cleanses. Not watching TV I think it cleanses the mind. The television is a tool that I think is used, that can be used to numb or dull a person's intellect, or it can sharpen it. You can use it as an educational tool. We do see that. And you wonder if the television, we know it's not even an if, that it can be a great teaching tool. But there's such a small percentage of teaching being done as far as positive teaching. There is matter of fact, when you really analyze it, it's a teaching tool overall. It either teaches you, it either numbs you, it has the effect to detrimentally teach you something. And we see that when people sit there remembering game statistics from years, decades gone past. You think about that. To remember a game that people played in a stadium decades ago, and not just the game, but the play and the moment and how, you think about that. It's like, what type of zombie stuff is that? We're going to the game, we're gonna, nothing with accomplishment, no sense of accomplishment, just mind numbing. It just, yeah, the TV, you're right, Divine. Now, you didn't miss anything. You definitely didn't miss nothing with that. Yeah. The patent was designed. You're absolutely right. Anybody can look that up too. If people type in TV, mind programming, television and mind programming, there's a patent that came up, it was decades ago, I think. It was in the early 2000s that they had. I showed it a few times on some old streams that we used to have, where it can send other signals while you're watching something. Remember, it's like listening to a song. You can have tones in the background that you don't even hear because it's masked by other sounds. And in the music, that can be subliminal. The beats, the openly heard beats, and the certain instruments, percussion instruments, stringed instruments, wind, and the piano. We have percussion is wind, but so when we look at this, we start to say, okay, we can be programmed through the music, we can be programmed through the television, and we can learn through the television. So why isn't there more learning with the television? And a logical, like the previous stream, how do you know when somebody's lying? You start to say, oh, well, 2 + 2 = 4. If you don't see learning, like positive learning programs on television, it's because they don't want them there. No matter what they say. Oh, well, they don't sell, they don't this, they don't that. No, there's other things that sell that they don't put on. And honestly, it's just overwhelmed with violent content. And on the other hand, mind-numbing content. If television could easily be used to train the nation instead of having to go to school, that would dramatically dramatically save money. But where are you going to get the people that are going to work in the lower class of society if everybody's educated? Makes you think. Makes you think, could this be done by design? And remember, I take it in steps because zombies, they're everywhere. And you have to go through this stuff at a slow pace sometimes to try to say, okay, if television, which we see, and the computer can be used to teach people in a good way, why isn't it happening? And the reason is because they don't want that to happen. If people wanted to learn and they wanted to see a better world, you create that. Now, it's hard. In the middle of that, they're trying to constantly inundate us with mindless, mind sense numbing content. I mean, again, the music, you can hear music and it can easily distract you, and it can distract you in some of the most loveliest ways. So it's not like a distraction where you want to get back to what you were doing. It's a distraction that pulls you away from what you were doing. You know, there's different types of distractions. And just this common sense, just talking about stuff like this. I'm surprised that if you talk to the average person in college, they might not understand what we're talking about. They might go back to, well, their professor said, and it's like, wow. So can you think outside of what your professor said? Usually it's no, especially, and this is how the religion of evolution gets embedded early on in. And we see with like, especially, let's say the field of science, as Varun had brought it up, he said, why do they always try to pitch evolution whenever they present a scientific fact? And the answer is because that's the way religions are. Religions will always push their denomination after a message that can somehow make you emotional or open up some type of want, like a door, like if you're thirsty for knowledge or thirsty just to know something, say, wow, that's a really good saying. And then they say, yeah, and that's why you should come to the church. You know, yeah, that's why you should come for the church disguised as a university, you know, and talk to the pastor. Yeah, the pastor that we call a professor. So when you look at these things, you start to say, wait a second. This is a pseudo-scientific church. The school is is another part of the Truman Show. You know, yeah, and you know what's funny is, instead of bringing them something like that, like, and they could need food too, and they'll bring those kids like a Bible or something, you know, and it's like, yeah, thanks, they can't eat that, you know, or even worse, a television. They'll say, hey, watch Joel Osteen on this television and pray, instead of bringing them shoes. You know, well, in some parts of the world, I will say that, you know, there are people that, you know, you don't wearing certain, I mean, just even, yeah, a pair of sandals, because I mean, you know, I was looking at something the other day. It's funny that you mentioned that about shoes, Hazel. This is, it reminds me of a guy that did a video about Crocs, and he was talking about the plastics and I guess the chemical mixtures. I think it was the PFAS that in it too. And when people wear them barefoot, I mean, it's just like, from what he was saying in his video, like a concoction of chemicals that are being absorbed. I mean, the feet are supposedly, I think, have like the most sweat glands. So when you look at the fact that people are wearing these chemical, you know, just like garbage piles. Let me see the chemicals in Crocs, side effects, maybe. Okay. Okay, they're trying to wow. They're saying it got the chemicals in Crocs, right? If anybody types in the chemicals in Crocs, those shoes with the holes in them, they're saying that they can have like heavy metals and stuff, lead can cause endocrine disruption. You know, I would say you look for footwear that's safe. Wow, I'm surprised they ain't sending people in other countries Crocs. This is like they're like, no, no, no. We saved that for our population. Yeah, this is phthalates and lead. Some people get dermatitis, like an allergic reaction, they say. And the competition, well, the composition, side effects. Yeah, Crocs. I mean, I never had a pair. Um, you know, this just what they're made out of says a lot. You know, to think about that, just what's in them, like a natural, like you look at some natural stuff that might look crazy or like kind of primitive or something, and honestly, that's the safest choice for you. That's the safest choice because you know the more simple it is, the less chemicals. You look, you say, okay, it's like, and that's, you know, you have to think again. You can never just stop thinking because like you could look at an organic, and this is something that people really, I'm surprised. It's like, man, we really in a zombie movie. It's like you think like, okay, um, what's healthier? What's a safer choice? Something that's processed in a box, but it's organic and you can read the ingredients. And you say, okay, or an apple, or say a tomato grown conventionally, so it has pesticides. Now, I personally would say the organic because you're getting the ingredients. The majority of the ingredients are on the box. The majority of them. Um, there might be some hidden ingredients, but we know for sure that on the tomato, there's a massive amount of ingredients that are not disclosed that are in the pesticides that were used. Matter of fact, most of the time, you won't get. It'll be hard to find out which particular pesticides they used. It's sort of like now you got to backtrack something that should be right there and able to be easily read, like a list of ingredients. You got to search for, and people don't like to search. Pesticides on conventional US tomatoes. Tomato. You say tomato, I say tomato. So, wow, this is brutal. Insecticides, they say, are applied to 95% of tomato acreage, often leaving residues that include fungicides like per, per, perimethanol. Wow. So perimethanol is a fungicide, and the residues, you know, that can cause a problem. The frequency of the usage, that's another one. And the health concerns, you know, the potential hormone, you know, possible hormone disruption and stuff. And people, I implore people to look up stuff like this. It can, I've looked up stuff like on the crap burgers and stuff, and you start to look through what they're actually feeding stuff. It's kind of like it has a Truman Show feeling in a way that it's kind of Truman Show, but there's something else. It's like you wake up and you say, "Oh my goodness, look at what they're spraying, or look at what they're putting in, you know, the atmosphere, the clothing, the food," but nobody else really wants to wake up. It's really hard to find people that wake up when I think about it. It's very hard. This is sometimes like, you know, I used to do this show, um, back in 21, I think was when we started the channel, and we would talk about different topics and stuff. But really, when you get down to searching for survivors, you start to see that it is futile. It is futile. You just have to produce your work like a beacon of light, and like the lighthouse. If a boat needs to know where the shore's at, they see the light and it helps them. Can save them from a wreck. So like something like the tomato, somebody might listen just to that part and say, hey, you know what? I never thought about that. I never thought about that when I buy a tomato or an onion or something that is conventional, I don't know what the hidden ingredients are on that. Like somebody had left in the comments something about a stream on food and nutrition a while ago. They had asked about it. And yeah, I was going to touch on it. Also, I always, say, hey, if you can go organic, that's really the way, because of these undisclosed ingredients. Kind of like, makes you feel, again, Truman Show type stuff. But the reverse, you're the one that's awake. Everybody else is, in Fantasy Island. Brian, good to see you, man. Yeah, bro. This is, are we in the Truman Show? Are we all in a type of Truman Show that we don't even know about? Well, with social media, you got guys wanting to put themselves in a Truman Show, just film themselves all the time. It just, they can't put the camera down. That's the hilarious thing. They cannot put the camera down. You see a lot of these women that just, of course, everybody knows about the websites, that made a lot of these girls rich, the OnlyFans and stuff like that. When people say a variety, the majority don't make a lot of money, the average girl, but, the lottery winners sell it. The fact that everybody promotes it too kind of makes you wonder. It's like, wow, this is, I mean, the amount of money that I've heard, like Bad Baby, I think she made like $50 million. I think there was another girl made like 40, a little over 40 million, like 43 or something like that in a year, I think it was. I was like, you got to be kidding me. You're looking at some serious cash, man. $3-4 million a month. That's some serious cash. You're looking at more than $100,000 a day. That's like, unbelievable, man. When you think of just looking at that market, shows you that there's a serious problem. I just showing 40 million in sales. Yeah, some of it could be, but I look at it as okay, let's just say it's half of what they say it is, right? Let's just say it's inflated to half. Let's say a quarter, right? If it's a quarter, then that still makes it $10 million a year. And, it's like, that's some serious cash. Even $1 million a year is some serious cash. But I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I did wonder about that, like the fake variant and stuff, because you start to say, how you wonder, because when you add up the numbers, you say to yourself, like, I'd like to see some proof on it. That would be actually something to investigate, to say, are these numbers for these Instagram models, because yeah, are they inflated? I heard that thing with, I don't know if it was Cardi B or China Black or something, making a couple of million a month too. And it's sort of like, why would anybody even want to look at those people naked? I mean, that's like, I don't want to look at them with clothes on, much less look at them without clothes. I mean, that's like horrible. That's frightening, actually, when you think about it. Kalala says, even if it's 5 mil, it's freaking insane for bikini. Exactly, bro. Exactly, man. It's freaking insane. You're right, man. It's like, what the heck is going on? It's like, dudes, you look at the thirst. I mean, that's like straight vampire level, straight ghoulish. I mean, these dudes, when who was it? Belle Delphine was selling her bath water for like 50 or 60, I think, a jar. Bath water. And another chick was selling farts in a jar. I mean, I can't even say that society is crazy now, because there's always been some just off the handle type of stuff. You look back a few decades ago. I mean, people were buying a pet rock in the 70s. So that says a lot right there. A pet rock. It's like, holy smokes, you want a pet rock, huh? And the guy was smart. He filled the demand. He said people were complaining about feeding and taking care of these pets. He said, hey, why don't you just get a pet rock? So now you don't have to feed it or do nothing. You just got the pet rock. And he made it, the fact that he made a couple of $1 million in a few months in the 70s. And granted, yes, he was in marketing. I mean, I gotta hand it to him, man. With this day and age, I think about it, there's so much stuff available to us. It just, yeah, there's really it's like you can get a college education, I would think, within a year, easily. An associate degree, you probably get that in a month. Just studying. I mean, you see how much they slowed us down. They fed us little bits. Now I understand having to drive to a college, whether it be a university, community college, whatever. You can only take in so much at a certain time. But when you look at the fact that the computer or this age lets you learn at your own pace, you learn throughout the day. You don't have to learn at 9 o'clock in the morning for an hour in a science class. You can take bits of that all throughout the day. So now you're learning all day. You're looking into stuff. You're saying, yeah, this is how society, this is how society works. This is how, if I were to build a town, I always wanted to build a town, looking at the stuff that I would have liked to see in the town. I said, and just seeing the stuff that you want to see made better, you got to build your own town. I mean, there's so many stories of stuff, but you look at it, you say, okay, well, we need a water supply. That's important. Water and land, because, you say, okay, how are we going to get food? Is it going to be a farming town? Or what are we going to produce? Is it just going to be a town for people that have money that can come and retire? If the town has no industry or something to fund it, then how's it going to stay, sustainable? And how does it work with government? Like if you incorporate a town, what goes into that? You're going to have electricity, piping for water, where that water's coming from, and sewage filtration. And that's just the basics now. Because then you got to get into, what do you need? You got to build, like always, the courthouse, the school, the church, the jail. These are, the farms got to be there. And, you start to say, oh, okay, now that I can understand how a town works, like a small town, a very small town, to the Hazel, man, Sodom and Gomorrah. Yeah, hey, if somebody wants to build a little Sodom and Gomorrah, hey, who am I to really say otherwise? It's just, if they're keeping it over there, they just, but a town, it's a beautiful thing to me to know people in the town that are cool, not people that just came there because it was an economical thing or some other reason blew them in. It's like, no, we want to build something to where people know each other for generations. And you don't really see that. I think that's another thing that the government has a way of breaking and putting their claws into, that keep people not really bonded with each other. Even in conversation is good enough. I mean, you don't got to be family or best friends. You just, you know people. When you know people, you help them. I saw a video of a guy saying I think he has a business where he has a snowplow. And the guy next door to him, it's a black guy that owns a snowplow business. It's in the winter. And he has an old neighbor, a white guy who's like maybe 80 years old. And he comes to his door and he knocks on it. He's like, hey, look, we're driving we're pulling out your driveway. Anybody over 65, we're shoveling your driveway. We're letting you know you got help. You got friends here. I'm your next door neighbor, and it's free of charge, of course. And also just talking with people, I noticed. Just talking with people helps them. Sometimes people want to see you in person. And, I think that now I think people are starting to see how overrated that is. Is it a necessity? Is it a necessity as we move forward into whatever this thing we call the future is? Like me personally, if we can do everything over the internet and the telephone, what are we meeting for? Unless we're friends. I mean, even I look at it now, the virtual world, this just again putting it in the comparison of not needing to remember the telephone numbers and saying, yeah, you know what? Yeah, I don't want to remember the telephone numbers anymore. I just want to type it in, which turns into other things. And some of it makes sense. Totally. You're not going to retype something that you typed before by looking at the page. No, you're going to copy and paste it. Copy and paste. Why would somebody do otherwise? Why would somebody type directly to paper now, the way that we would have typewriters before? When they did have word processors back in the day, which I remember in the 80s, and they must have had them in the 70s. I guess that's you're looking at anything that was there 30 years prior on that too, because you're going to find documents and stuff and say that type of technology too. You look at that stuff too for a civilization, and you say to yourself like, yeah. Look at invention. Look at the guy, whoever created the printer. And the printers, I heard that there's some serious scam stuff. I heard now there was actually a video that just came out. This guy was saying that with the printer, if anybody wants to check this, if they type it in, something with the printer, you not being able to fully own the machine you buy at that point, because the printer won't print certain things. Like it had something to do with a chip that enables it to prevent you from doing everything you want to do with it exactly. And you say to yourself like, wow, this is getting to it's like licensing the programs. Licensing the programs is total BS. I use older art programs. I mean, I still hammer and chisel it, but I see that there's only so long. I mean, there's some programs that you can have if you're doing basic art where, I mean, I can do frame by frame animation too, which is a little bit longer, not much, but you have more control over the art. But with AI now, AI is like, I can take some of my art pictures and it can animate those pictures, basic animation, different styles, Beavis and Butthead, Family Guy, those two different styles, King of the Hill, and it can animate them very quickly now. So it's sort of like an animation program that you can talk to. That in itself, I would say, okay, but there was a good feeling that I've always noticed when I was creating characters, writing scripts. So if that's not there, and I'm doing it in a different way, well, I'm still writing scripts because I don't think that these AIs, the writing, you got to do your own writing. You have to, yeah, you have to. You have to do your own. Yeah, when I think about that, man, the carpeted bathrooms, the seat covers, man, and I look at that, I can imagine all of the chemicals now that I'm kind of conscious, but I do miss the nostalgia. Oh my goodness, it's like I think about the plastic on the furniture. I did not like. That I did not like. It was sort of like, you know what? No, we're gonna have to. I remember, yeah, when I look back at like the progression from those days to now, just over the course of 4 decades, let's say 4 to 5 decades, right? 50 years. I've had the pleasure of living half of my life in the previous millennia, actually, yeah, century as well. So like not only just on the cusp, on the right in between the 2 centuries, we're in between the 2 millennia. So that's like, holy smokes. So now we're a quarter of a century into the new millennia. And those of us that can remember, I would think that Brian is older than myself, so he probably remembers uh, some of the 60s and maybe most of the 70s. I only remember the tail end, really, of the 70s going into the 80s, 90s, and beyond. But I know of a lot of the older stuff because I have older siblings. So my elders have always, I mean, I grew up hearing different types of music and stuff. And I have to admit, in that era, the 70s era, the music was more, it was more fun. But albeit the same, I think now it's still a mind control tool. So when people think I'm going in harsh on rap or some other pop or rock or something, um, I I look at it like I'm not going in, like I'm not being I'm being critical, but I'm not being hateful of it. I'm being expressive and scientifically analyzing of it to say, hey, these tones can control us. They can make us feel good, but they can also program us with certain feelings and thoughts and possibly subliminal messages. And then I realize I'm talking to a zombie. And that's the crazy thing. You start to say, wow, it reminds me of the Bugs Bunny episode with Brody, when I think he was trying to sell. It was on the Brooklyn Bridge. There was some type of thing where the time Brody, jumped off the bridge, and he was running around thinking everybody was rabbits, because every time he went to somebody and asked them a question, they'd turn around and it would be like whatever character, but a Bugs Bunny, what's up, Doc, type of thing. And everybody you go to, when they start saying like, hey, yeah, what do you, hey, you got to vote, you got to vote, you got to, everybody's saying the same thing. It's like, what are you talking about? When 9/11 happened, I saw Zombieville. It was ground zero. And my first thought was, wow, look at what the government did. And it just, the only other person was a doctor I knew. And that was like for maybe 2 years. And then I think that's when Loose Change came out. And Loose Change was, that In Plain Sight. And I think there was another one. And they were the ones that were analyzing the stuff that happened to the during the 9/11 thing. And I was like, wow. So I kind of got on it more in '04. So you're looking at it marinated for a few years. Bush was already I think they were already in Afghanistan or something like that. So it's like, yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I have to admit, I find, yeah. I have to admit, those probably are, yeah, the greatest years. There's a few hits, stragglers before and after, but yeah, the bulk of it, yeah, I would say the bulk of the bulk of the greatest rock programming. Yeah, definitely. And yeah, I tell you, some of those songs, when I look at it, it's hard to find people that will look at it in a scientific context, but that also can feel like, yeah, man, that song feels good. That song has there's something about it. What was it? What is it? What is a song really? Like that is, even again, the song is Truman Show. No, it's not. And it's not a belief, right? When I look at the Iraq, the Iraq, I think that's the way we're supposed to pronounce it. Even though I think the British, I think it was called like Babylon or something, or Mesopotamia before, but Iraq, right? They said that Iraq had weapons of mass destruction, right? That's what George Bush in my opinion, from what I remember, I think anybody can look it up. They said they have weapons of mass destruction when they realized, right? Now Now they're in Afghanistan too. So, you have these guys, surveillance is everywhere. They campaign that, and they were like, okay, the weapons, the whole premise of going into Iraq was that they had these weapons, and no weapons were found. Anybody can type in, I think roughly 500,000 people, Iraqis were ended, and the country is just rubble. Somebody, my nephew is an airborne ranger, and him and other guys I know that are in the military were like, there's no buildings. They were like, every building, it's fuck. It's apologize my curse. Got to make sure the screen stays clean. But it's like they made sure that everything was basically destroyed according to some people. Now, you also got guys, now you got the destruction of that, the destroying of the people. No weapons. That's the thing. Alexis, brother, thank you for the support, bro. Alexis says, are ICE agents just brainwashed zombies? Yeah, man. In my opinion, ICE agents are dangerous, to the point where, some people might say, it's kind of like planned in a way that they are creating situations where they know how people are going to react, and then they send in the agent zombies. So they are agent zombies, and they're dangerous. That's the scariest thing. They're dangerous brainwashed zombies. It's brainwashed, armed and dangerous. Yeah, there was you didn't notice that there was no weapons of mass destruction found in Iraq. It was all about some beef, some people said. And you know what, Brian? ICE might be doing their job, but that's just like what Alexis said. They're brainwashed zombies doing what they were told, really. And their job is not in benefit of what a lot of Trump supporters in general, when they try to say, they believe in the Second Amendment and the First Amendment, right? Isn't that the right to like protest and the freedom of expression and freedom, the right to bear arms? So those two magically are just, disappeared. With all these people that support the whole ICE thing, right? That's the thing. MAGA Mike, good to see you, man. He says, don't forget that Trump called out that Iraq had no weapons of mass destruction. He tried to warn us. Now, this is what I'm saying. This is how they play both sides. And I'm glad you brought this up, Mike, because this shows Brian, who I know you guys are both far on the right. And that's cool, because as long as we can have a conversation, we can talk with people far on the left and in the middle. This is what it's about. There's no weapons of mass destruction, Brian. And then you see a guy, MAGA Mike, you see it in the name. He's saying, yeah, he's so, and I understand he likes Trump a lot, but this is how we can find truths within there, because they'll always throw these little bits of truths to get us to bring our guard down. So it's sort of like, hey, you know what? There was no weapons of mass destruction. That right there, the fact that was said, would have been revolutionary level war if the country was aware. The fact that all of the people that was lost, like I don't think we lost a lot. I think it was like maybe, saying this, any loss is a lot, but I think it was like 3,000 to 5,000. How many troops? And we probably lost some. We probably lost some due to friendly fire, F troop type of stuff in Iraq. Okay, they're saying it was about like 4,000, 3,500 killed, and then 10 times that, more than 10 times that wounded. And wounded could be some serious stuff. You can have a person with their arms and legs, done, Vegan skeptic, what's up, bro? He says, my kind of topic for sure. Hi, all. Yeah, man. Hey, if you want to jump on, bro, the link is pinned to the top of the chat. Just hop on at any time, brother. Yeah, always deep conversation. But when we look at the toll, now those people that lost, I think it was, what was that lady's name? She used to take her son's shoes, and they had a protest. Cindy something, I think her name was, who used to protest Bush because her son went over there and died, and she realized it was just some senseless stuff. And I mean, that's the pride and joy until it hits, a person's heart, really. And then most people don't have a heart, so they can't even connect and realize what that lady was even a fraction of what she's feeling. And her only fulfillment in life is trying to find truth for what happened to her son. Just like the parents of Pat Tillman. This is what I'm saying. I mean, I'm a veteran, for Christ's sake. I mean, people and people try to say they're Christian and all of this stuff. Now, there's some good Christians out there, beautiful people. But then there's some other people that are not. Hey, it's just a fact. It's just a fact. I think I've said it before, that not every Christian is a Klansman, but every Klansman is a Christian. Not every white person is a Klansman, but every Klansman is a white person. And this also goes for the other side, these race baiting black channels that instead of trying to bridge between people, just constantly harp on, what was done to them. And I've mentioned that here many times before, that in Rosewood, Florida, if it wasn't for Mr. Wright, which was a white man that owned a business who helped the black people in that town when a gigantic white mob was ending people, and this man helped them. They have videos on YouTube from the 80s with them interviewing the survivors. So yes, there was crazy racial stuff that destroyed that black town, but there was also a white man, the only one basically that owned the business, that actually helped save many people when that happened. And that takes the edge off of it, but it takes it off with reality. It doesn't lie. You see, and I noticed when somebody was talking about that on the other side, I say, yeah, it happens on both sides, and people need to call it out and explain it the way it needs to be explained, like the stuff with the 13% and all of that stuff that they talk about. The 13% stuff, we know, is not the way they try to say it. It's saying, look, the old lady, the judge, and all of the people in professional positions that are black, they are not the people out there on the block committing the violent. We see the violent are coming from a lot of the unemployed and extreme impoverished, and the mentally ill too, very much so. They like to leave out the mentally ill. So if a person is a certain color, they'll say, oh, it's that person, these people. But it's like, no, that person's mentally ill, just the way the white guy who stabbed a woman in Oklahoma in the neck, he's mentally ill. So you have two very dangerous people that they can easily use to flip the story to get us to keep talking about race stuff instead of talking about what I've said before, the crime problem. America has a crime problem. And it seems that crime problem is just actually kind of cultivated. If you look at it like if you're putting pieces of a puzzle together, you start to say, this is kind of odd, like kind of on purpose. When I think about it, yeah, it's kind of on purpose, because you see where people don't want people to get together, to think together, to say, hey, you know what? Rosewood was a tragedy in Florida at what happened, but there was a guy there that also helped. So it wasn't just a total. I'm not trying to lessen the tragedy. I'm just trying to say, look at that. Isn't that amazing? The fact that there was a guy there. Now, if he would have flipped on them, I guarantee you, they would mention that, they would use that to try to instill hatred in between to division black and white people. To say, oh, well, there was a white guy in the town, and then when the mob came in, he even joined the mob. That would have definitely been said. But the fact that it's not said that he helped shows, and all I'm doing is clarifying it. I'm not saying, to try to hate on anybody, nothing like that. Saying, look, we need to educate each other on this and say, oh, I needed to say it that way, and, it just, well, you also have to, you can't, when you say black judges and officials, Brian, it's not all. I'm not saying there aren't crooked people in law enforcement. We see it with white judges, but we also see it with black judges. Matter of fact, I think it was a black judge that let out the guy that stabbed the girl in South Carolina in the neck. And I had mentioned it on here. And I said, look, I'm like, how, and they were saying that he needed some type of mental institution type stuff. And that is serious. You see, it's kind of odd. When I look at that, that's very odd. And he kept saying that he felt like he was mind controlled. I mean, anybody can look up the stuff. Anybody can look up the stuff. If you look up the stuff on that case, it's very odd. It's very odd. We see it's like, wait a minute, are they like cultivating crime, or like in a way, like how we were saying, they know how someone's going to react. If they make it's like farming. When people try to get animals in the pen and all of that, and they block stuff off and herd it in a certain way that has no choice but to go in there. So they do that with people, and people don't even realize it. If you look at techniques that are done on farm animals, especially to like corral them, put them back into their other areas, put them back in the barn to get them to go in there, that's the same way they get humans to do certain things. It's really, if you look at it, you start to see that we're kind of on a farm. We're kind of on a farm. And there's all different colors on this farm. There's all different types of farm animals. You see people, straight chickens, pigs, ducks, goats, goose. Some people are the workhorse, working hard. The workforce, the builders. You got the cows, the traffic jam. All the cows following that's the cattle drive. I remember being stuck in the cattle drive a lot of the times in the city, going to work, being like, man, this is a cattle drive. And then on the subway too. Subway is just like brutal, because then you got, other things happening on there. It's crazy. It's just like that, yeah, man. A lot of people, when you look at it, they want to keep people separate through any type of differences they can use. Gender, color, political stances, religion, scholastic outlooks, friend association, little cliques. Now I understand people are gonna, like is gonna attract like, but there's also a conditioning behind it, this societal machine, this Truman Show. It's like Truman shows within Truman shows. Truman shows, it's sort of like we were saying when the guy wakes up from the Matrix, Neo, and then when he wakes up and he's on the ship, that's another simulation that he wakes up from, in a chair somewhere else. And then he wakes up from that, and then those simulations are infinite. That's some amazing stuff. Yeah, when I think about that, it's definitely some amazing stuff. Vegan skeptic. At the end of the day, I think we are talking about the same system, same court, same scripts. Race is just the distraction layer. Yeah. Yeah, man. Truman Show 101. Keep us fighting each other, never the machine. Yeah, man. Yeah. Clearly, bro. It's like this thing is very extremely, extremely intelligent, kind of predicting people's moves, like I was saying with the farms, where it's like they are corral, they fix things in a way where you have to go into the pen basically, or the barn, or wherever they want you to go. And then also we see the feeding, how they feed the animals on the farm. Where basically, we're trained to go to the storage and to keep. If we would look at the word like that for what it is, storage, people might say, well, they got to stock up on food more instead of always be going to the supermarket every week or 2 weeks or even once a month. I mean, you want, a year's worth of food or more, just in case. But who really has that? Who really has that? And if people have that, I remember they were making people feel paranoid for having that. What would they call them? Like preppers or something? They call those people. But to prepare, they literally made that. They tried to demonize that. This is the level of the machine's influence. It's all roles in the same play. Like MD says, we're treated like farm animals while actors argue on stage. Yeah, we got to look past the puppets, man. It's just yeah. And then the reward. I think the reward is being able to look past the puppets. That itself is part of the reward, because it's like, just to the fact that if we can't see past some stuff now, and we have the ability, we say, wow, we learned, we look past that stuff now. That is in a sense of reward, to say that growth, that ability now, that would be like how you said, being able to look past, like in the zombie thing with the thing I made here, the 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 mind is shielded with the power of thought, and the vision that allows the mind to think and look past into the zombie spectrum. So like how you were saying just now, um yeah, look past, how you were saying here, we got to look past the puppets. Yeah, man. Yeah, you're absolutely right. The reward, and I would think as we grow, because I noticed when I accomplish stuff, like especially with the writing and the editing, I do feel good. I do feel good when I look back at some of the stuff, just the charts, like the zombie spectrum over here that I've made, and then going deeper into it with the subcategories, and then going into the subdivisions, and then the vision, and all of the artwork that I've produced here. And this is just a very minimal amount, not to add in the whole Spellcaster stuff with the secret words books, all of these other books here with the date and the relationship, the inside of secret words, stuff like that. It, to me, in a way, it's not that it's water under the bridge. It's that it gets to a point where I start to see certain literature needs to be produced in a certain order. Like Zombie with the charts and stuff there, some of them that I showed, is good, but there's so many people that are zombified. Those of us here that are just waking up, we're saying, wow, this is a serious situation on the mind, because we're being hit from the mental in many different categories: politically, religiously, scholastically, medically, but also physically in that way too, with the medically, the schooling, the food, the media. Forget it. It just, that type of mind programming, we already see what it's doing. And like how sheep or cattle will stand by each other on the farm, a lot of people stand by each other watching other people get zombified, watching the children and the teenagers or whatever with the with the pads, the iPads or whatever it is. I think it is like it's like um the Android pads and stuff. Scribe, what's up, man?
Ah, you already know this topic, That's instant summon.
Yeah, Truman Show, man. Yeah, I think Mr. X is he might be around a little later. Maybe
I mean, you know where they got that idea from, right?
the Truman Show?
Hmm.
We got Vegan Skeptic here, man. You guys had a good conversation the last time, you and Scribe, man. If you want to hop on, bro. Yeah, man. What do you mean? Where they got the Truman Show from, or something else?
Yeah, the structure that it's under, what does it represent?
Oh,
In the
shuck.
movie.
Wait a minute. You trying to tell me the Truman Show? Oh,
Right, so basically it's a dome and it has limits. Remember he reached the very end of it and then he
okay.
climbed up and then
But in the movie, what was outside of the dome? It was water, right? Oh no,
yeah,
what
it's
was
more
it?
land.
Did he ever
It's
go
more
outside of
land.
the dome in the movie? I have to admit that movie
No,
came out a while ago. I don't even remember. I remember him going up to the wall. There was a big wall, climbing up the steps
right.
to a door.
And they like painted the thing like to look like the sky or whatever, the
Yeah,
clouds.
yeah, that was the last part I remember. Like, I don't really remember too much. I think did they go back to the town? Maga Mike, brother, thank
Might
you
have.
for the support, man. Maga Mike says, Scribe, do you think Trump and destroy this show? Do you think Trump and destroy this show? You gotta can you explain that further? I don't understand what you're saying. You understand what he's saying?
Looks like he missed a few words or something. Yeah.
Yeah. Do you think Trump?
I mean, as far as the Trump thing, I mean, I'm sure you remember I talked to you probably a few times about this and did, said on a few shows back in the day
Well, I think he's saying, do you
that
think Trump can destroy this show? Which show? Can you tell us which show? Is it this show or like the show of politics or something?
I guess he's saying if we have the opposition or something. I mean, I don't really understand the question, but
Yeah, yeah. If he wants to just clarify it and I'll highlight it. Um, I guess can destroy the show. Maybe I don't know, like what the show that's going on in society, or
I mean, I told you my prediction a couple of years ago before, actually longer than that, but when Biden won, was like, they're gonna let the waters calm, since the jab thing, and then they're gonna do the whole thing with the immigration thing, and then once Trump is gonna be reelected, there's gonna be some crazy thing. He's gonna have some crazy event to make him look, all powerful, and of course, the assassination attempt or whatever, and then that let him pretty much get to a point of where God said, he saved him or something like that. So now it's written in stone that he has to be president.
yeah,
It's ordained. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, go ahead.
Mega Mike says the Truman Show of of our political world, like how they constantly lie to us. Can Trump finally expose the truth? Okay, so he's asking you, Scribe, can Trump can can Trump show people the world how the political world lies? So is Trump gonna, do you understand this, Scribe?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, Trump is interesting because it's almost like he's the new updated version of a president that knows that we've been studying 9/11 for the last 20 years. That a lot of people um, have uncovered, the Illuminati stuff and all that. So he knows about all those things and he addresses that. And then that's why he started the whole fake news and all that kind of stuff. So he played into it as if he's an active person exposing truth, but at the same time, he's carrying on the agenda and not talking about the real stuff that that affects us, directly. So that kind of stuff he plays ball with, but the other stuff he exposes, it's cleverly done to where it looks like he's exposing stuff, but in reality, um, there's several things he hasn't touched upon that any president in that position would, if they weren't controlled, would obviously go back and say, wait a second, we don't need this, we don't need this. So, yeah, he's all about supposed freedom on that, but he hasn't gone back and taken out the Patriot Act or these other things. It's just look at what's happening now. Now it's, the Inquisition situation. Um, so the agenda's rolling. It's just in a different way than we would have ever expected. But, he's doing his part, and there is no exposing any truth because you have two political parties that are at each other's throat, meaning that there'll never be any unification or exposing of any truth. The only way we can expose truth is by removing oppositions and unifying to one group and say, okay, now we're going to expose these lies and get down to the bottom of it so we can run a smooth operation, society. But if that doesn't happen, it's never going to be that way. It's always going to appear the left hand, the left wing and the right wing, you know, on the same bird, same with one brain, controlling the whole thing. Um, I mean, I know it's tough for a lot of people to swallow that, but I mean, that's unfortunately the the government configuration that we're given is that there is there's no way that particular setup can unify any group of people. So that's my issue with that. I mean, if you think about 50 states, that is a lot of power. That's like 50 countries unified, but no, it has to be a split. It's too powerful. Therefore, there had to be a split to control, you know, only one agenda at a time. So if it's a Republican agenda versus a Democratic agenda or whatever agenda, it's in for short term, and it's in for 4 years, and then here comes the next one, and then that one's clean up. The last one did, and it's never ending back and forth. You never get anywhere because they're always, oh, got to clean up this guy's thing, and then the next guy gets clean. Oh, got to clean up this guy. So it's the same thing. Now we have the immigration thing, the Biden thing, and now Trump's like, okay, now I'm going to clean up that, and then we're back and forth, and then next, he's out, and the Democrat has to come in because his 4 years are up, and then we're going to be back to it again, and back and forth. So it's just endless, nonstop, back and forth, and nothing gets done. So that's what's been going on here. But in the appearance that, oh, we're gonna make it great again, it's like, you know, correct me if I'm wrong, but wasn't the United States based on the founders being immigrants of this country, and the immigrants building this country from other countries, and now all of a sudden there's an issue, you know. So again, this is just all for show because this country was built on that. There is no single race of people that, say, oh, we're the ones that built this or whatever. So it's hypocritical when you look at it. It's really hypocritical. It's like you stand for freedom, you stand for the immigration thing, where it was built upon that formula, but yet now it's something else. Well, it just means that we're getting closer to a totalitarian, feudal system, to where there's no more amendments, to where there's no more free speech, no more. Again, in my opinion, well, that's what we're led. We're already being led to that. So, if you look at the UK right now, if you go say something, on Facebook or anything, that's direct jail sentence. That's not my opinion. That's what's happening there right now. So those kind of things slowly moving over here to where if you say something or do something on social media, that's equivalent to committing an actual illegal act. So once you have those two things put in place, what are we really talking about as far as making America great again? Because that's the number one thing that made America great was freedom of speech, right? So once you take that away, that's when you turn to something else. Unfortunately, that's what's happening. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah, man. So Thanks, Mike. I mean, I hear what you're saying, bro. It definitely, I mean, I think that there's going to be something behind the scene, like how we were saying on a last show. You saw maybe how there were lies that Trump has said that has been exposed. I'm not saying he's a bad guy. No, I'm saying his behavior. Everybody has lied before. People in politics. I'm just looking at it like it would be nice, and I understand where you're at. It would be so nice to think that somebody in power would do something good to help us, and they might. They might. I can only hope. That it is good to keep that positive thought. To have the negative thought is not good, but I'm looking at it like it's not a negative thought that I'm looking at. It's more of a scientific analysis due to previous actions. So like what do they call it? Pattern recognition, right? So when people see it in criminals, which, you know, if you're convicted of a felon, you're a criminal. But regardless if you're convicted of a felon, you're still a criminal. You're not innocent until proven guilty. We know that you will be arrested. You're guilty until proven innocent. But people think that you know this Brian is hilarious. I mean, something is always trying to divide people so it can keep people under control. um it's surprising that people don't see that this thing or this group behind society, whatever it is that's controlling stuff. Who knows what this in? I mean, that's what I'm saying. It seems kind of Truman Show, like they're controlling everything. Everything's artificial because it's like they twist something with the racial type of thing, and people start to get zombified, and it's real easy to really see how that happens. The media, they used to do it with the newspapers. Before that, word of mouth, even a lot of crazy stir-ups that got people to go nuts on each other. Remember, racism is a mental illness, and we see it from all different angles now. I mean, we see some crazy videos. I mean, this is straight world star territory with stuff. Every different. I mean, anybody that shows anything, you find all different types of people. Fast food wars. I mean, some of those videos are brutal. Some of those videos are brutal. They can actually get you thinking a certain way if you don't think about it in context and see different things, and then realize, no, it's not more of a color thing. It's a mental illness problem. It's like a psychiatric problem combined with like a definitely poverty, and but definitely psychiatric. It's definitely a mental type of these people. When you see some of this stuff, a scientist, like somebody who would be studying society, I guess, what is that called, a sociologist or something, uh somebody studying it, well, or anybody can study it and just say, what is so sick about either the individual, society, or both to have produced something like that? So either an individual that was just genetically a monster, which we don't really see that. We see it's more to be conditioned. Now, it could be in some instance that something is there, but we see that in a certain environment, people can grow up to, like Jamal had a good point. If a black guy grows up in Britain, he's going to speak with a British accent. He grows up in America, he's going to speak with an American accent. And I'm like, it's a very good point. To an extent, we do have traits that can mimic the environment. That's like immediate. That's like birth adaptation type of stuff. Yeah, I don't know if you're there, but
I mean, if you see the map, it tells you. I mean, here's the lines you can't cross. I mean, because when you think about it, you're born as a human. You're supposed to be a global citizen. You're supposed to be able to go anywhere on this earth.
yeah,
But
yeah,
they want to confine you to a certain country or even state.
yeah,
And it's just really sad that they take away all your. That's basically on the plantation. I mean,
yeah.
you're
Well, I
shackled
mean,
to this particular location. That's it.
yeah. You see the stuff that's happening in, with the stuff that's going on, they could easily just change the stuff electronically. So whatever money, they could track everything. And the technology we have is so advanced. They didn't have to come in. This use of brute force with, of course, media behind it is like a big show. It's like a big show to like scare people, really, into subservience, to say, listen, uh, this is it hasn't really changed too much. It hasn't really and I don't really see why. Because if somebody is already has you in a position, people have this thing of, oh, they're gonna let up, and it's a brutal thought to think that they're not. But at least maybe we can live a little bit of a better life. That's the hope that everybody has. I mean, this is and as we all are looking at this, we're going so forward fast into some type of technological almost like matrix type of pod. I could see people ready to get in the pod.
For
People
sure.
ready to get in the pod.
Uh,
I know Brian is a I don't know. I don't, nationality, man. I just want people to, there's people that, and I hear what you're saying, Brian. Just, you know, it's like we gotta, in a way, get past that. Like, don't you think, Brian, that people could come here from another country that might work better with you? Now, I'm not saying all of these people. I'm saying a minute amount. Like, so the majority is not going to be this person. It's going to be the minority. If it exists, we'll say one or two people, right? Out of all of the immigrants could help you, and I'm not saying you got to take all of the immigrants too. I'm saying if you could just take that one or two people that can help this country get better without better than some of the Americans that are naturally born here that are not helping. Why would it be a how is that wrong? That person is coming here and they're adding. And there's a lot of people from a lot of countries that do that. Now, yes, there are a lot of people that come from those countries, probably more, that are not coming here with that intention. But if that can be reduced while letting in the people that do good, that do help the country, that's really the key. And if I can see that, you think politicians can't see it? They know what they're doing. I think he said something to you in the chat.
let's see. Subscribe always had borders, boundaries since the beginning of history. Comanches didn't allow Apaches in their territory. I mean, that is true, but I mean, once the industrial age, all these things, supposedly the civility of parlaying and all this stuff is more obvious now with technology, to where it isn't so animalistic like in the past, where you're literally, having to hunt and, do all these things to survive. Yeah, there shouldn't be any need for territories now, simply because if we were more civil and we did work together, I mean, I would hope that the outcome would be better than constantly reserving the large lion's share of the budget for defense and all this stuff and wars and stuff that should be put in education, that should be put in other areas to advance society. But no, we're we got every single armament you can think of, but yet our schools are depleted, our streets are filled with homeless people, job market's gone to you already know what, and all this chaos, but yet our armaments and everything are fully stacked up. We got the best of any tech and all this other stuff. Does that sound like a society that cares about its people, or does it sound like its own agenda for doing something else? So, and the U.S. itself is a very new country. It's like it's placed here on this side of the Western Hemisphere to do its thing. And if you look at the South, you see that's all somewhat undiscovered in comparison. Like they're still discovering stuff in the Amazon and all these other things, in these other areas of South America, uncovering all types of stuff, ancient stuff. So it's still pretty new territory compared to the East. So again, if we don't see that we're simply coming over here to um, pretty much take over the west side of the hemisphere to add the new tech and the new avatar situation where the last of the ancient tribes are still there, but not anymore. So ever since the Spaniards and all that stuff, everything's been redone. They've got all their own little reservations. Everything's kind of been redone, like in a basic thing, but they haven't gotten deep into the harder areas like the Amazon and stuff like that, or like where I'm at in Panama, where they say it's impenetrable. It's called Darien in this area, where has been very few explorers have gone in there. So there's all types of stuff they're still going into. Um, but again, yes, the vision just allows for an excuse to not uh, support, you know, a nearby country or whatever, and that creates, the cartel stuff and all this other stuff allows for all this imbalance because it's like, oh, if you're going to do that, well, we're going to organize ourselves as well because we're not going to stand for this. So we're literally going to create our own cartel and our own stuff to go against whatever. So that's the imbalance we're at. It's because again, humans should be treated as equals regardless of the country, regardless of the race or religion, in hopes that we can all work together. That should be the final outcome in a supposed civil, high tech society. There shouldn't be any other reason why there should be a conflict or anything like that. You know, but unfortunately, we are in this conflict. So that's why it's akin to the chessboard. They call it the grand chessboard. Play both because if you have division, now you can play people off each other. Now you can play religions off each other. Now you can play. Now it's so easy to control masses because now you have all these pieces to move. But if they're all unified, you can't really control them. The perspective almost said, Mike. Okay, cool. But yeah, I'm gonna go grab a drink real quick. We'll be back in a second.
Yeah, yeah. No, that's cool, man. Yeah, man. Vegan Skeptic had a really good, definitely. MGTOW G, what's up? He says, Scribe, I remember you. Thoughts on MGTOW? Scribe just went to grab a drink. He said he'll be right back. Yeah, thank you, brother, for the support. I appreciate it. As soon as he come back, I'll re-highlight it for him to see. Yeah, man. The Truman Show is definitely some type of a like a hint. It seems to be like with that deeper meaning. Definitely the blissful ignorance, because I guess that can be represented by like the nice, bright, sunny neighborhood, to enlightened freedom. So from Fantasy Island to be taking the rabbit hole, looking into the rabbit hole, seeing the truth, going through the looking glass, basically. And it challenges viewers to examining, let me see, who is this? Oh, it's Vegan Skeptic. What's up, bro? Good to see you, man.
Hey, good to see everyone. How's everyone doing?
Oh, it's pretty good, man. Scribe went to grab something to drink. Yeah, yeah, man. If
Back
anything
now.
on your mind, Scribe, you back?
Yeah, I'm back now.
Yeah. MGTOW God donated. He said, "Scribe, I remember you. Thoughts on MTOW?"
Um, you know, yeah, that whole thing, as we know, came from the Matrix movie and all that stuff. So again, a lot of it's been misconstrued. Again, yeah, that was originally for people, with the 9/11 situation where people were like, you know what, if it's going to be like that, then I'm going to have to just kind of do my own thing. And that's pretty much kind of what I did. I decided I had my own software thing. I was like, you know what, I might as well just do that because that was kind of like my dream to be able to move around and not to be stuck in a location working for a corporation or something like that. So I took that leap of faith and um, kept true to it, especially to see what it is now. So, but again, that term is used very loosely. There's a lot of guys that claim that, and they're still up there, and some of it related to women and stuff, and then they're just totally convoluted, don't understand the original meaning of that. So the true meaning, is obviously to start your own thing. The idea of getting your own land, getting your own energy grid, your own water supply, your own vegetables, um, and be sufficient somewhat, and away from all the madness. So to me, that's those are my main thoughts. So I don't know of many guys who've actually done it for real like that. I mean, that was one of my things. I'm still in the process of getting to that point, but yeah, a lot of these other guys claim that they're MGTOW, but it's not, not the case. But yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, yeah. Vegan skeptic is here, man. So yeah, I didn't know if the Truman Show reality where most act. That's his secondary title. That's a good one. It
I,
just
yeah, I love joining with that. Usually, I always join with that here.
yeah, man. Yeah. So, what are your thoughts on are we all in the Truman Show, or anything about the Truman Show, or whatever's on your mind?
Yeah, yeah, 1000%. I first of all like agree with Scribe on the relationship. I'm with you as well. You have like four amazing books on that, and yeah, I mean, I agree that that's part of the distraction and part of the Truman Show. Definitely that dating scene. At the same time, and I can't wait for everybody in the dating scene to realize what they're gonna realize in the next 5-10 years. We can talk about that, but when it comes to the Truman Show, um, yeah, I mean, like I was listening the show earlier. I'm just like on the I'm packing right now to go back to Turkey. Very busy, but yeah, I was listening to hear like Brian on the chat, and I wrote my stuff on it. But Truman Show and the current things that we have right now, like it definitely proves itself every single day with gematria, every single day with the inversion patterns with all celebrities and everything else in between, every single day with every single conspiracies. So the way I look at it, like the way once these like researchers like yourself, myself, many of these people who seek deep, like once you see all these clues, like you don't look at it as left versus right, black versus white, like Trump versus Biden, or whatever, like that. It's just because it becomes the Truman Show to you. It literally becomes like we are looking at the same system, same course, same money flow, same scripts everywhere around the world, right? And this is why they followed all their scripts a few years back when that big thing happened. So to me, I'm just looking at different actors on my end, and this is like just too obvious. I'm just trying to make it easy for people to understand, basically, like now my next goal. But it's just that there's too many evidence for this exists, and we can easily prove this, that yes, we do live in basic the Truman Show reality. Yes, they do follow scripts, and we're just watching a show basically. And I'm hoping kind of the show ends well, and I have had many signs to show that as long as the internal world changes, out external world changes, type of stuff, like as above so below, as within so without. But yeah, I mean, basically, so when it comes to race, politics, like all these outrage, to me they scream obvious distraction on my end. Usually, like I tune out when that type of stuff comes in, or I try to uh, kind of make people move into the directions of like thinking deeply about it, right? As you guys know, I love this deep stuff. So yeah, I mean, to me, like this type of politics, to me, it's like we are talking about villains and heroes, and it's about attentions and reactions, right? Like the Matrix that we know of so far, like I don't think doesn't control people with force, right? It controls them definitely like they keep us, polarized, afraid, dividing each other, every kind of role there is that we see out there. And that's why, to me, like all these recent immigration stuff, all these crimes, war, president, judges, like everything to me screams, right? Oh, like I'm seeking your attention. I'm seeking your, like, the distraction, basically. But are you gonna still seek it, or are you gonna see and realize that you are watching a show, basically, and that maybe you should focus
But
on other stuff?
Vegan said real quick, because you're saying that they don't force it. Would you say, example, like school, for example? Do you think school is forced or it's not forced when you're in school?
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, definitely when it comes to things like that, I see us, like, I don't know how before coming into here, right, what we potentially agreed on, what we were deceived it potentially. Like, there's this famous theory called matrix reincarnation soul trap theory that kind of argues that we were deceived to be on this earth, and we are being our energy being siphoned by Lush and stuff, which I believed in. I have the first ebook on this that I wrote, like, called Waking Up from the Matrix. But to me, I don't see it as that anymore. I just see it as definite. Like, once I start to see the Truman Show and start to see the Truman Show actors in real life doing their parts, and that I've seen the good ones and the bad ones, acting like bad ones rather, then I start to say, oh, wait a minute, like these people, I don't think they are necessarily like super evil, and it seems like there's always some deeper things going on, and there's like many lessons being learned. But at the same time, I'm like, am I mind wiped, and that am I learning these lessons thousands times over? Because if that's the case, then I would say force. But if I, kind of chose to be here, or there's some other deep layers to it, then I don't know how much I can say use the word force. But yeah, I mean, when it comes to the consent topic, this is the biggest dividing topic in the whole matrix reincarnation soul trap community. And people do talk about, like, how much is it forced, how much of it like is free will versus consent versus all this other stuff. So yeah, like, it's very debatable topic there. I don't almost know what to think about it, but I'm trying to kind of get back all my power and learn as much as I can to have that choice, basically, that with the knowledge, because without the knowledge, maybe that's when you are kind of, without knowing, almost being forced. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Yeah.
So you're saying that you kind of remember, you kind of remember stuff from that was wiped before, and you kind of remember that you like give enough awareness now to remember. It's like, wait a second, you know what? I remember that from somewhere before, but it wasn't from this world. Or I have a certain phobia, or I'm afraid of heights or whatever, or drowning or something. It wasn't from this experience here. It was from something else, but I don't remember what that is. I just know that that fragment still exists in my consciousness for whatever reason. I think what you're saying is certain things. I guess deja vu, or certain points of deja vu could bring about certain things that happen in a different lifetime that kind of you remember, or you might remember in a dream, or comes through somehow. The thin veil. Or maybe the ayahuasca experience or something unlocks that. So yeah, it's almost like re-remembering or rediscovering who you were or are in this current thing. And because I definitely feel that this is not my first time uh, being here, nor have I ever felt non-existent. Like, I've never felt where never existed. I've always felt I've always existed. Maybe not here, but in other forms or other whatever, in other worlds or whatever you want to call it. There's definitely a strong feeling of that. So I don't feel a void or an emptiness to just non-existence. I've never, I don't know what that would feel like, but it's just feel like nothing, I guess. But um, it's interesting because I don't know what you guys think about that, but it seems to me that we've been here many times, or a variant of this, a higher or lower degree, however you want to see it.
Yeah, there's definitely a lot to unpack there. Like, I definitely believe, based on what I've seen from the reincarnation evidence, that yes, it seems that potentially, like, not only that exists, that we may have been here for a long time, right? Before, many times rather. So, so yeah, but at the same time, like, when we are talking about the Truman Show reality, we gotta always go back to think, like, how many of these people are telling us the truth, and what if 99.999% are in on it, and they are, all kinds of stuff. But as far as from people within the community, within this community, Soul Tribe community, all these other communities I'm part in, I know of, from personal experiences of others and myself, that yes, astral projection, stuff like that is real. Near experience, yes, we have experienced it. Not me, but all these, like, people in the community rather. And then, and I have my small version of it. But then, basically, as well as pre-birth memories, right? Like these people who remember that before coming into Earth, even like that before the reincarnation part or incarnation part rather. So yeah, I mean, definitely like there's a lot to unpack there. So and deja vu as well, like it's like we see 4 to 7 dreams naturally a day, and some people say time is, basically not linear, and it may be circular, and we may be tapping into, past, future, and everything in between, like present at the same time. And yeah, maybe deja vus are coming from that. Maybe we have seen something into the future in one of our dreams, or some other things are going on. But a lot of people do describe like that this is not their first time. We have 2 to 6 year old kids speaking different languages or coming with extraordinary evidence and proving it with extraordinary evidence that yes, they have been reincarnated basically. And yeah, many thousands of kids documented in science. We have clinical studies show like birthmarks of these people who claim that they had like stabbed or they had their death wounds. There's usually a birthmark in that part, and that's kind of recorded. So yeah, I mean, that's why, like, just like you, it doesn't make sense to me, right? Like the non-existence part. I don't think that's the real reality. I think there's definitely big things going on, and once we are out of here, hopefully we'll have party forever, and whatever happens. But yeah, I mean, I can't imagine nothingness either myself, I guess. So yeah, I kind of agree with what you said.
Where do you think it's going to be? Well, what, Scribe, you had some?
No, you can go ahead. You can ask.
No, go ahead, man. Yeah. You were talking about.
I mean, like, what do you guys, as far as time? What is time referred as, or what's it referencing? Like when they say time, what are they referencing?
Oh,
Like,
sorry, I was.
how do you, yeah.
Yeah, how do you what? Sorry, can you? I'm trying to understand what you mean by that.
Like when they reference time towards linear, how are they referencing it? Like, it's just a basic,
Ah,
yeah, basic question on that.
yeah. Like, as in, like, just like we had our past, we have the present, we have the potential future. But they, like, some people claim that what if you, like, this Mandela effects, right? What if with your beliefs or with many people's beliefs combined, can we change the past, present, or future?
No. I'm asking how do they calculate time? How is time calculated?
How do they as in like they're just people? Or?
Yeah,
I
like
don't know.
how do they calculate like how they calculate a full day, how they calculate seconds, minutes, hours, right?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, they have their own structure, like the Jesuit, basically a calendar that we are on, right? And we have the mathematics that they kind of gave us with. And when we do combine, like they created this time, right? Like it's not like as if in real reality we don't know what's really going on, but these are the concepts that comes with the Matrix, obviously, and it kind of works for us right now because we kind of remember our past, but at the same time, to me, I'm always doubtful of the history. Like when we talk about the even near past, like the world fairs, the world and mud floods and everything. But yeah, I mean, it gets complicated. Like,
I mean, there's the artificial constructs, but it's still based off something. I don't know if MD wants to fill in on that, if he's still there.
To fill in on what? Based on what?
Like how they currently track time. Like how do you track time right now? Like what's their version, or how do they? Because it's supposedly a linear thing, but how has it been always tracked and timed? By the second, by the hour, by the
Oh, myself or they? The state.
Yeah. What's your understanding of time? Like how is it created? Like what are they using to track time? Like on a
Well, the state or the government seemingly tracks it by like an atomic clock and microseconds, which are millions of a second going forward, and then nanoseconds, billions, and then
see, the reason I asked this is because it's so prevalent and important when we're talking about. The only reason I bring this up, we're talking about the Truman Show, which to me is the realm, and how they've always calculated time, and they still do to this day, obviously, is through the revolutions of the rotation of the Earth and the orbiting of the sun. So It takes 24 hours to do the full rotation, right? That's why it's 1,000 miles an hour, 24 hours, and it takes a year for the Earth to go around the sun one complete cycle. So using all these calculations based upon supposed astronomy, but we're saying no, that clock you see up there is part of this. Like this thing's projecting that thing like the yin and the yang. So you look into the yin and the yang, it's simply going in circle, right? So it's going in a circle. It's powering this whole thing. You want to call it Truman Show. They're saying no, we're just floating around and we just happen to use time and basing off the rotation of the Earth and the sun, and that's how it's been calculated since the beginning. So when we have basic stuff like that, people are completely separated from just how is time created, and they think it's a government construct or it's something they got from some other thing. It's actually the rotation and the orbit. And then when we look at how important that is and how that relates to the realm, you see how they're trying to detach that from by making it, we're just some random speck of dust floating around and all these numbers just happen to perfectly line up and all this stuff. So when you look at your clock, you're literally looking at the Earth, Sun, and Moon rotational patterns. That's why when you see those really super expensive watches that have like the moon and other planets and other constellations that they can tell the time or whatever, the next, cataclysm 25,000 years later, they actually have watches that have those long calculations, and they all calculate perfectly. It's based off astrology, which religion doesn't like, but yet we use it for time. So we're supposedly using something that's clandestine and, we're not supposed to really touch that, but yet it's based upon our literal time. And when it took me time to realize that's what they're basing time off and how it affects reality itself, especially, the Truman Show versus what they want to say is real, it really kind of shows you where they're getting all this stuff from, and it doesn't conform to the reality that we're getting in school. We're forced to learn these things, and we're not getting the full thing. So, yeah, I just wanted to throw it out there because people need to know that's where time comes from, and if that's the case, then we need to take a closer look at these cycles, and we're literally living within a vortex time continuum where it's churning. It's like a wheel that has to move for the electricity to continue. If that wheel stops, no more friction, no more electricity. Everything dies. So it's the same situation we're in, but yet they want to say that this is just all, stuff out there in the cosmos. Don't worry about it, So it really does bring in the heavens closer when you think about it that way, and you realize how important that is, as above, so below. But yeah, go ahead.
Vegan skeptic. So Scribe is saying that your belief in the Truman Show is being a representation of something like reality, as far as the realm of reality, and honestly, they have some stuff when they talk about that. One of the conspiracy plots for it refers to life being a massive hidden reality show. So like this, how you said it, you're thinking that the Truman Show, is related to life being a show, but you're saying like the plane of existence, right? Like the dome, the plane, or something like that. I don't know if he's there, but yeah.
Sorry, you're talking to Scribe or me?
Yeah. No, I was talking to Scribe, but yeah, if you want to answer, yeah. Like,
I thought you were asking vegan. Yeah, go ahead.
I didn't know if you had a belief like Scribe, where you believe that the Truman Show, because Scribe thinks, he believes that this is a realm of existence that we're in, and it has a dome, I think, right, or something like that. Like the Truman Show is saying the dome is the representation of the dome of reality or something.
But you can call it the firmament, as they say in the
Yeah.
Bible. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, that's been shown to us also in, like, yes, Truman Show that definitely showed us that, and many other movies and TV shows showed us that, and also in the scripts from the news and everywhere. It's just all around. But yeah, sorry, I'm getting background noise on my end.
Yeah,
Harder
let
to
me
focus.
mute. I'm gonna mute my thing.
Thank you. But yeah, basically, that now I understand you subscribe definitely. Like, now I understand what you mean by the time and how they basically, make us think how they come up with this time, with these rotations, the suns and moons and stars, and everything else in between. But yeah, I mean, to me also, like, that shows, right, all this cycle, even like the cycle itself, 19-year cycle with the moon and how it resets all the time. It's like the Jewish calendar is based on the reset as well, like how it changes. And there's just so much to it to show that, yes, like, there's so many loops that goes on here, but that loop of the earth, the loop of our even blood and everything, like, loops in here. But the thing is that, um within these loops, right, um we can see easily how it's all structured, how it's all, like, even with science, with the time, like how they try to explain to us how the time exists and how it's real, and how they kind of show it to us, to try to make our world kind of work in that sense. But at the same time, what about all these, before, right, all these cycles and everything, once we look into them, to I'm trying to also get to what I'm trying to say. But yeah, basically, all these cycles to me show that, yes, once things repeat, it's a pattern. We see the patterns, and we can see these cycles. But the thing, okay, now I remember. So the thing is that when we do look into this scientific stuff, we do see, like, oh, this earth is like on this degree of point whatever 666, and on this other 66 and 33s, and everywhere, like, there's still geometry and all these scripted numbers involved within the science, which is what my I believe third chapter was about in my ebook 4 years ago, like, proving that I have taken from the scientific stuff, like all these journals, to show that, look at all these 666 that they showed us, like all these 666 numbers within the science they showed us, to obviously point at that, yeah, like, they are just making up. They're making up these numbers. They're making up all these stuff that we see outside. Firmament is probably, yeah, like, stuff like that is probably true. But at the same time, they can probably, knowing that it is potentially something like simulation, or in tangent simulations for people, like maybe you have your own tangent simulation, I have my, Scribe has their own, like, everyone has their own, rather. And that maybe sometimes they merge together, right? We don't necessarily know what's going on. But yeah, once you do look into how they try to explain it, the history, how they try to explain it, these numbers, these time and everything else in between, things start to not make sense. And that's where we are at right now. Nothing makes sense so far. So yeah, that's what I would say.
Okay. And I always like to go back to all the stuff that we can observe. So when we ask somebody, do the sun and moon appear to be the same size when you look up, at the sky? To me, they look like almost, pretty much exactly the same size. Does the moon itself emit its own moonlight, what they call moonlight, which is a cool light, which you can test it if you go in the shade. At nighttime, it's actually hotter than if you're outside the shade and you're getting the direct moonlight. So in the daytime, it's the opposite. If it's the sun, then you go into the shade, it's cooler because it's emitting radiation, some type of heat. So when we can test these basic things that completely misprove a lot of what they claim is real, um, it just blows me away that these simple facts are simply just overlooked, you know, or just overlooking a mountain range and saying, okay, if this thing is circular, ball, whatever, then there should be a calculable curve, right? There should be measure, should be able to measure this calculably, and there should be a certain view distance, certain height, and all these things. But when we do it, it always comes back to a plane, just like an airplane. When they say in the flight manual, treat it as a plane. You're flying over a flat plane, and you just simply put your header on the city you're going to, and you fly straight. You don't have to nosedive or any this crazy stuff to keep the plane, in the right position. And And then when they try to say, well, snipers use this thing called the Coriolis effect, where they have to somehow calculate the curvature of the Earth while they're shooting a sniper rifle. At the same time, there's wind, there's currents, there's probably rain, there's probably all these things. But at the same time, you have to account for the rotation of the Earth. Again, more nonsense. Any real sniper will tell you that they don't mess with that. It has no bearing. And then that's how this whole thing came out. Actually, the guy Mark Sargent back in 2014, I think, he brought it because he's a ballistics engineer that worked on a large enterprise, I guess a vessel, a ship, the Navy or something, and they would shoot missiles for hundreds of miles. And he noticed that they never calculated for any type of curving or anything like that. And that was kind of his argument, because that's a big, you know, a long distance that you can say, okay, for sure, over 100, 200 miles, there should at least be this much, curve. And when it's not apparent, we got a problem. And when you go and look at the moon missions, you're like, why is there so many red flags here? You got Nixon on a landline talking to some dude up 300,000 miles, and on the moon with no latency or anything. Technology is probably the biggest giveaway factor. When you look at the older movies, all the old tech stuff they'd use, now it's laughable because now we know what's real. Now we know uh, how to separate reality from science fiction. Um, when you look at the old lander and stuff, it's just, you look at that thing, you're just like, right, okay, tinfoil, duct tape, that must have been the secret sauce that got them there. And somehow it magically got off, and you still got the camera guy there filming it, when they're taking off. Sorry, we let the camera dude, whatever. But it's just hilarious, all these things. It's almost like a real movie, and you're just watching this, and you're supposed to, make you believe that somehow this is actually going on. And so we're getting hit from all sides with propaganda, with um, all these different things. But you'd be surprised to know that other countries, some of them don't do that. Like I think in Japan, like the JFK thing, they disproved that years and years and years ago. Like certain conspiracies, like they got into them and didn't have any filter. Like there wasn't any uh, gatekeeper there, like in the U.S. If you try to talk about that or there's going to be gate kept, so you're not going to be able to talk about it. So, we got the man himself, Jake the Snake. What's going on, brother? Oh, he just jumped off. Oh, he'll be back. So yeah, the more you look at this world and you realize the realm is true, you feel a lot more inclined to take care of it, respect it, um, what do you call it, embrace it much more now, because once you know that you're part of it, and then what they call God is literally here, you can observe it. It's an observable thing. This is why these certain locations are barred, and absolutely you are not allowed to go these places, because they will show you how this mechanism works. Again, if that rotation above your head stops, time stops. Therefore, you stop existing. So that energy thing, that vortex, uh, that's happening above your head, that is basically the same thing as a watch. When you look at the watch and you see it ticking, that's an energy field. So the second you stop that energy field, now we no longer get energy. Nothing gets energy. The sun and moon stopped and everything. But no, they want you to think you're just some speck of dust floating around, and magically all these things are happening. So it's just the most ridiculous fantasy land idea you can think of. So this is why they need Santa Claus at the North Pole. This is why they have to, not allow people to go to the South Pole as well. So these two spots are absolutely off limits, no matter what country you come from. They don't care. General, whatever president, they don't care. So when we have these large pieces missing, and Einstein takes out the ether, just take it out, replace that with gravity or something else, we have many holes in our many things they're going to be really hard to understand, because we're getting so much disinformation and misinformation all mixed in the soup. And then you go to school and you get more misinformation, disinformation. It's just an ongoing zombie frenzy. So to to break out of that, it's tough. You know, that's a tough one to be able to see the truth that's right in front of your face, but yet, you know, like I was saying earlier, things are very observable. Like, you know, Jake, I don't know if you heard, like, does the sun and moon appear to look like the same size? They want to say it's, I don't know how many hundreds of times bigger. But when you look up at the sky, look at the sun and moon, does it appear to be the same size? In my mind, it looks to be, yes, the same size. Does the moon give off moonlight? Does it give off a cool light? Can this be tested? Yes. If I go under a tree and I test the temperature, it's actually hotter than if I'm outside the tree and I'm getting direct moonlight versus the sun, which is the opposite, where if you go in shade, you know. So these basics are just completely ignored, and it's unbelievable. Go ahead, Jake. Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Scrub, I jumped on because I know you're talking about the Earth being a certain shape, and I gotta say, man, when you look into it, right? Most people are so against even looking into it because they just want to, you know, believe what they were told or what they were taught or brainwashed in school. But then you look into it, it's like, huh, there are some really good facts. Just like you said, you can look and see it's the same size. Could be a longer distance away, like they're saying. But then, you know, when you start looking at these other facts, it's like, well, you look at the model, and the model works for as far as the sun rotation, for you know, the Earth being a certain shape. You look at emergency flight landings; they don't make sense unless the Earth is a certain shape. And then, like you said, the countries, you know, all the countries in the world, they've been at war forever, but somehow they can all agree to not let anyone see Antarctica. Like private vessels are not allowed there. General Byrd or Admiral Byrd traveled to Antarctica a long time ago, and he had a lot to say about it, but people didn't want to listen. And so there's just so many facts that point to the Earth is a certain shape. And then we look at the models, the electromagnetic fields that they say run it. I mean, makes a lot of sense compared to just believe moving 1,000 miles an hour, but there's no wind, there's no nothing. Just believe it. Just believe that you know, the everything else they brainwashed you in school. Just believe all that. Don't look into it. Don't come to your own logical conclusion. Like I said, we can't know for sure, but to me, it seems like the facts are more on the other side. And then you brought up the part about tinfoil and duct tape landed on the moon. I used to always say I can build a tree fort better than the moon landing craft that the U.S. supposedly used. It's been debunked many times by photographers and film producers. Wrong. The flag waving is wrong. Gravity, supposedly in quotations, is wrong. And so his name is Don Petit. He is, or Don Pettit. He is a engineer for NASA. Says, oh yeah, we could go to the moon in a nanosecond, but we destroyed that technology, and it's just too difficult to recreate. So they destroyed technology from 1969. They somehow can't recreate it. What, 40 years later, 50 years, 60 years later, they can't recreate it somehow. So they just want us to believe that they destroyed it. What the, you know, U.S. was working for towards a decade, apparently. We did it, and then after we accomplished it, we destroyed it. Doesn't make any sense at all, and we haven't been back since. So, you know,
we cannot find the same duct tape and the same tinfoil, therefore we can't go back.
Yeah, the technology of the tinfoil and duct tape, we just can't recreate that. It's so, when you start looking into it, and then they've admitted too, they've never actually made or actually taken a photograph of the whole Earth. They've admitted it's all CGI. It's just pieced together. If you look at the photos of the whole Earth that NASA has released over time, there's a great image of like the Earth, taking pictures taken of the Earth at different times, different years over the last couple or few decades. They put the years underneath them, and the size of the continents looks completely different. Just the amount of water, just everything, nothing is similar. So even when CGI patches in stuff, supposedly, doesn't look the same at all. So we didn't even have a photograph of the Earth,
yeah, and
with all the satellites.
The most visible one, remember, Jake, they would copy paste the clouds. That was like ridiculous.
Yeah, exactly. I was going to say something about the clouds, the cloud coverage, and everything like that. It's like it is. They can't prove it, but they want you to believe it. I mean, right there. I mean, if they believe that, okay, cool, that's a choice, and let people believe what they want. Let them do their own research. Also, another NASA engineer said, "Oh, we can't. We've never been to the moon because the Allen radiation belt is a problem. So we can't go through it." It was like, well, didn't we go through in 1969 with tinfoil and duct tape? You know what I mean? Now we ain't got the right materials to do it. You know, all these years later, when textiles have improved a ton over the past few decades. You know, if you just being in the construction industry, you know, when I was a kid, the first flooring I ever did was the old 12 by 12 peel and stick laminate flooring squares. That was pretty popular back then. Now, I mean, people would never install that now. And that's just, you know, from when I was a kid, you know, 20, 30 years ago. But NASA never increased their materials or textiles or anything like that they use. And that tinfoil and duct tape was just made real good back in the day, I guess. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
Yeah, somehow they broke through the firmament, supposedly Van Allen belt, with duct tape and, you know, this thing that looks like, I don't even, you can't, I mean, they try to fit humans in there later, like after, you know, it was in the museum or something. They were like testing it. I was like, dude, you can't even fit a person in this thing. It's like, how in the heck, you know, it's just, I don't even
Yeah,
know.
and it's like 10 pull legs, duct tape, and tinfoil. I mean, it's like, you want me to believe that? And then look at India supposedly landed on the moon just recently, like a year or two ago or something. And it looks like a worse version of a video game than like Pac-Man when it first came out. I mean,
It
it was
was,
completely
yeah,
ridiculous.
straight up Space Invaders, man. I was just, I don't even know why would you even show that? I mean, just, it's a slap in the face, really, man. But yeah, man, appreciate Azarun, man. He's hooking it up. You got the 100 rupees in the house.
As
Real
for
good,
Rune,
man.
oh, they're rupees. I was going to say, dang, dude, he must have sold some coffee beans. But okay, they're rupees. Okay. But yeah, that's, you know, you start looking at all these facts, and me and Scribe are scraping the tip of the iceberg here compared to all the research that's out there for, you know, did we land on the moon or not? You know, and you know, there was a guy who built a submarine, went down further than ever. It's like some kind of Guinness World Record or something like that. And when he got down to a certain point, he's on an interview, and actually the Discovery Channel, I think it was the Discovery Channel, covered it, and he told
James
him,
Cameron? You talking about James Cameron?
yeah, that guy. I think that sounds familiar. Supposedly, he went down so deep where he could see waves crashing against a clear wall, and so that would be the
That's
bottom
the
of the
guy.
firmament.
That's the guy that filmed the Titanic. He's the like the biggest director ever. Like he did Abyss, man, that movie Abyss. Like he's an expert in underwater movie stuff, so that's why he's so into the underwater, like Mariana Trench and all that.
Yeah, I mean, just the facts. It's like, so I mean, that proves there's a firmament above and below. And then if you look at videos, you can see people launch missiles like, you know, like those toy rockets you get as a kid. Basically, a bigger version of that, more, you know, amped up version of that, and it's going up and up and up, and there's a camera on it, and all of a sudden you hear a thump, like it hits something, and then it changes direction. So did it hit the top of the firmament? That would be the logical conclusion, but you're just supposed to believe that there's no firmament and where it's like floating around, and it's completely unrealistic. And just the facts, video evidence, just everything. People who have traveled, they got a whole different story to tell that they want you to know about.
Exactly. Now I think about it really hard and the way they claim the clouds work. I'm thinking because it's supposed to be the waters above. It's like we're thinking, where do you think the rain comes from? Meaning that this world also provides water for some realm that's below us, and so on, or whatever, if it's designed that way. But that always kind of hit me, you know, later when they were talking about the waters above. I was like, that would make sense because the rain itself is already a trip. How that works? You know, can people recreate uh, a cloud in an enclosed environment and have it just rain, like in a small little, let's say 100 by 100 foot little enclosed, you know, state warehouse or something. I want you to create fake clouds. I want them to rain on this little fake, you know, farm down here. Throw in some hamsters or whatever you got to do to make it look real, and see if you can recreate this. So again, it's something they cannot recreate, and they want you to say, "Oh no, it's just a bunch of precipitation, and you know the thing forms and it turns dark and it starts." No, that doesn't make any sense. How can you have billions of gallons of water up in the air falling down on you based on some puffy thing, carrying it along and just ejecting whenever it wants to. You know, that part never made sense to me. But Azrun, I don't know if you want to say something.
No, I mean like great show. So I thought I'll just hop in for some time, and some function is there right now. So I'll have to go back, but I'll again come back. So I just wanted to congratulate you on having on creating a great show. That's all, Scribe.
Well, thank you, Azrun.
Yeah.
Definitely, man. Thanks. Yeah, you got to go back and learn the big turtle thing and the whole thing. See that's one of the big uh understandings that's been removed from society. But you go back and look at all the ancient uh visuals of this realm, they mapped out the whole thing. The Bible, they all did it, they all knew it. All of them knew it. It wasn't like, oh, we're the only ones that know that the world's this way. No, everyone knew this back then. Common knowledge. This is not like something new. Just like ghosts aren't new, Bigfoot is not new. All these things that we think, oh man, it's fake or it's whatever. It's like, bro, that thing's been around for who knows how long. So when you take all these things out and you want to live this superficial fake world, now is when you get this super fake world that we live in now. So you take out all the original stuff, and now men cease to be men, and that's what we have here now. We have all these dudes now. We can't, a lot more feminine. You already know that whole thing. So not only that, people that are not that way are having to go and relearn this for some reason. It's not already built in. It's not something that can be observed normally now. To where back in the day when you're a kid, you can grow up and watch something and see a real man taking care of business and doing his thing, whether it's on a movie or a show or whatever, comic book, whatever, is always in that form. But now you don't know if that's a dude or if that's a chick or whatever, so, and moral values have completely gone there. People are sitting there filming and some guy's getting stabbed or robbed or something. They're sitting there filming it for their channel instead of helping the guy. So, now we're living in what you would say, superficial matrix, simulation, hardcore, now with AI, it's just, I don't even, the word human itself might not be even used later down the line. That word might be a negative word later in the future, right? But yeah, I don't know if MD's still there.
Yeah, I was gonna say, if you saw the Truman Show, or if anybody here saw the Truman Show, they're saying that, like it says, somebody had a question saying, why is the Truman Show so dark? And it says the Truman's world is the set of a TV show. In Murdoch's world, the sun never comes up. So it gives the impression of a genre of such as film noir, where darkness suits the typical narrative, so daytime is never shown. There's a lot of people that have gone deep into the Truman Show thing. I don't. It's been a while, so I don't really remember too much. I don't remember the ending, actually. Now that I think about it, it wasn't really that. Yeah. Well, now that I think about it, yeah. I don't know if
Well, the fact that we're mind wiped, that already kind of
we straight
sets the stage.
neuralize it.
But they can't completely suppress it because a little bit seeps through as you get older and you realize, wait a second, this ain't me. Yeah.
Holy smokes, man. Yeah, man. I don't know if vegan skeptic or Jake. Timbo.
Oh
Yeah. You have some?
yeah, I mean, on this topic, definitely. Like, I wanted to connect everything to the title, definitely, like the Truman Show, because it is definitely like to me the biggest red pill on this like physical earth for sure, and yeah, because when we do look into Scribe and Jake has been saying, like, yes, all the things that shown to us, these rotation models, these earth mechanics, like the Antarctica, all these restrictions, right, supposed, and the admiral birds. But all of that to me, like, again, screams another theater. Obviously, they tell us like how it works, but none of us literally can directly verify any of that.
Yeah.
So basically, we are at the end of the day like just trusting these institutions, right? So and those same institutions also like constantly contradict themselves, lose data, like change all these timelines, edit footage. We know all about that. Anyone can right now literally like write on YouTube like top 10 proofs NASA lies. And if you can find the video, you can just write like mirrored at the end. But like you can see how many all these green screens, all these obvious supposed mistakes, and all these all these clues to show us right what's really going on. I feel like, and yeah, to me, the story screams us how it is scripted, and even the whole Antarctica, the Admiral Byrd thing. Just to talk a little bit about it, because to me, it's Admiral Byrd, obvious, another Truman Show actor within the system, but but whether his story was literal, symbolic, what I mean, like probably like scripted, but doesn't even change to me the bigger picture, right?
Yeah, you see through the illusion. Scribe, I think, still believes Byrd is not a Truman actor. I think Byrd is a Truman. I think they're all Truman actors. So I agree with you. Yeah, I'm not sure. Scribe,
how's he a Truman actor?
Well, to me, when you do look into all these celebrities, like doesn't matter which celebrity you look into, whoever people shown to us on TV. For one, we see the geometry patterns. For two, we see the immersion patterns, and we see these two things both over and over and over again. To say that yes, I mean, to me, to many people, these actors, these presenters, these puppets, basically that's shown to us on TV, every single one seems to be obviously a puppet based on every single evidence on geometry, every single evidence on immersion patterns, and many other things in between. But that's what I would say.
Okay, well, the reason I would say, yeah, to a certain extent, a puppet, but he did go live on television. What was the 50s, like 57, 58, 59, around there. He comes back from the expedition and he tells, I mean, it's on YouTube. You can literally look it up. I don't know if they took it off, but it's there in black and white. He's on a show. And these two guys are asking him, so, what did you see? What did you see when you went down there? He's like, well, went down there. I don't know if he got in a plane or helicopter or something, or how they surveyed it, but he brought down, more than what was required for a large expedition. And he said there was a piece of land as large as the U.S. beyond, Antarctica, beyond where they were. And when you align that with an ancient, I think it's a ancient Buddhist map, 1,000-year-old map. You see that there's a continent about the size of the U.S. Directly south of Argentina. And after that show, that's when they did the Greater Treaty of 59. The Greater Treaty of every country in the world signing, yes, nobody can go past this, Antarctica point. You can't go past this, no matter who you are. You can only be authorized by some world government, whatever it is, that administers that. So I just see it as, this guy hit that, and they realize, okay, we have to wrap this up. We have to close this off. So at least his words were out there to say, look, there is something beyond this, and they're lying to you without saying it, So what do you think about that?
Yeah, on my end, I would say definitely like everything shown to us, presented to us, right? It obvious, like we can see, we can look back and see everything that it happened. But I'm kind of like speaking of a little bit deeper, like what if these people almost like in a high mind way, like let's just imagine we are in a simulation right now, and that these people may be connected to high mind, and maybe they are acting like different individuals, but at the same time they are just actually this one AI maybe, or something else like that. To me, just everything over and over again, all my 21 years research showed to me that yes, like all these individuals are puppets, but at the same time, puppet is a maybe wrong word. It's like kind of comes with bad connotations, because these are just doing their parts. But what reasons are they doing for? Is it for good reasons, bad reasons? We don't necessarily know for effect. But as far as I see, I can see the deep wisdom that right now is raising. But yeah, I can.
Okay, so is it possible for a puppet or a plant to turn? Let's say, because I had this argument with MD all the time with Tupac, and you could say that Animal Bird is a form of that, where he did something uncovered something, and it still stands true. To where with Tupac, before the Illuminati thing was even a thing, before the internet, he tried to spread the word, about it, and next thing you know, he's gone, he's dead. So,
I mean,
is it possible that one or two might slip out, and
yeah.
they decide to say, screw it, I'm gonna expose this, even if it costs me my life.
Mhm. I would have said possibly back in the day, but now seeing all the like deliberate in and super obvious, like all the geometry and inversion patterns, and I can get into both of those things, but it's kind of like sensitive when we do get into inversion patterns, like FDMs and MTFs and all this stuff. But those patterns, to me, once you do recognize all those 50 different patterns in human skull, like male differences versus female differences and everything else in between, you will literally rest of your life put glasses on your eyes to see what's going on in real world, right? Because it's not just celebrities we are talking about. We are talking about literally we are inside this Truman Show thing, and there's a lot of people who are potentially in on it. And you can see this from not only immersion patterns, but again, gematria, this symbolic coded language, this other stuff. But yeah, that's kind of like the deep stuff I'm talking about. That to me showed it to me in an obvious way that, oh, like if this person, let's say, change their gender, or let's say everything their name and everything their history is about matches with perfectly with gematria and everything else in between, then if they did those two things, how are they not born into it? How are they not part of it at all? To me, they are obvious actors. That's why. And yeah, like all this evidence shows over and over again, not just with one single actor, what's for one single celebrity. No, all of them have the same patterns. That's why it becomes the Truman Show, basically. And yeah, that's why I say what I say.
But there's also some. I'm just saying that all of them cannot be pure robots. That's maybe a few of them, or especially scientists who want to reveal, because you hear about scientists getting taken out all the time. So, um, for discovering something or whatever that doesn't, the big corporations don't want out there. So, um, yeah, every now and again you have these little leaks like Tesla, free energy, or the guy did the water engine. The Pentagon was interested, and next thing you know, the guy is poisoned. All these little things like that. But at least he got away and did a Fox thing, so people got to see it working, live on a news channel before he got taken out. So there's like little glimpses of people able to do something, but it's cleanly, it's quickly erased from history. You know, even if it's on the news or whatever, it's quickly taken out. And then I remember there was a time here in Panama. There was like they call it the Blue Mountain Alien or something. And apparently these kids, this place called Cerro Azul, so it's called Blue Mountain. Um, you go way on the top, it gets really cold, and it's really strange because it's a bunch of pine trees. Where Panama's more of a jungle situation, but here for some reason it's these gigantic pine trees, and these kids were, I guess, at a river stream thing, playing around, and they see this alien thing, and then I remember when the story first broke, it was a completely different story than when it was after like a day or two. After the next day, the day after, they changed the picture of what it looked like. They said, "Oh no, it's just a sloth or something. Don't worry about it." Like they took a sloth, they shaved it, and they threw it on a rock and then took a picture and said, "Okay, that's the alien." But I remember the original story when it first came out, it was different. It wasn't the same picture. It was different. The way they described it, what happened was different. So it's almost like they'll take these things, even though they come out, they can't be there. There's always gonna be a glitch. Just like with 9/11, when the lady in UK was reporting Building 7, it wasn't even down yet. She was already reporting that it went down. And it wasn't like till like 9 minutes later it went down. So there's going to be these glitches that happen, even though these things are pre-programmed and pre-done. There's always going to be a screw up somewhere. It's not going to be perfect. Go ahead.
Wow. I think Jake hopped off. Ezra, you got some?
Yeah, MD. Uh, Regarding this, actually, I think a long time ago, it was there on the radio also, somewhere in Colorado or something like that. I'll check it out again. many people saw some kind of white light coming and some blast happening, and they reported some aliens coming over there. And I'll get back to you with the story again properly. Like it was there all over in the papers that some kind of light had come over there in that area, Colorado, and some alien invasion had come over there. I'll bring that story back and tell it to you again, MD. Like it's an interesting story.
When was that, Ezra? Like when it happened?
I think somewhere in the 60s or something like that. Yeah, 60s actually. And
Oh,
just
I thought you'd sound like it's something recent. Okay, all right,
no, no,
60s.
no, not recent. It's somewhere in the 60s, and there were forces of good also protecting the earth. So it's not that the guys behind the scenes have always had their way, like the ones who are evil. There have been good people also who have thwarted their designs. Otherwise, the earth would have been even more worse than what it is right now. Like things would have been even more horrible. So there's a good faction as well, and there's a bad faction as well. That they're known as light workers. They try to understand what's happening all over the world, and they try to use their power to thwart the designs of the evil ones. So it's been the results are mixed. So I'll bring that story again, and I'll narrate it to you once I get back to my other native place. So then we can all comment on that story. Actually, it's an interesting story, like what happened with regards to alien invasion in Colorado in the 60s.
Right. I mean, it sounds like the yin and the yang situation.
Yeah. You can't only have darkness, you have to have light as well. So I guess like the thing is, you can't have the evil guys winning all the time. Otherwise, if the evil guys won all the time, evil has no loyalty to anything, actually, not even to itself. So things would have been even more messier, and the whole universe would have been destroyed. So some good is also there, actually. Like it's a mixture of both, actually.
Mm. Yeah, go ahead, MD.
Yeah, like kind of like the yin and the yang with
Yeah,
the
yeah.
yeah, the in the darkness you got a little bit of light, in the light you have a little darkness.
See, we don't fit that thing. It's almost like we are kind of an evil entity when you think about it to this earth simply because we don't conform to the laws of nature, and other animals look at us and like, what in the world is that thing? How is that thing making all these roads and all this pollution, all these cars and rockets and computers? Well, what's going on here, right? We're like
Yeah,
the misbalance.
yeah.
Yeah, go ahead,
But there's
Ezra.
also good in us as well. There's evil in us and good in us. Human beings are like on one side we have evil tendencies, on one side we have good tendencies. During one particular cosmic season, we'll be in tune with nature. During the last of the cosmic seasons, that's Kali Yuga, we'll be completely addicted to materialism. So the cosmic cycles are a variation. It's like a pendulum, actually. It's like one side there's extreme materialism, on one side there's extreme spirituality. So this is like this vibrations are nothing but back and forth and to and fro motions of an object. So this everything moves with vibrations, right, in this universe. So like the thing is, it's the same thing over here with good and evil as well. So somehow or the other, if it's too good also, the universe will stagnate. Some amount of evil is necessary to move things around. Otherwise, if the problem with these divine angelic beings is that whatever you give them, they'll be very content with it. The demonic beings, they're always hungry for more and more and more. So if you support one side continuously, there'll be a lot of anarchy. If you support the other
Okay.
side, there'll be
Yeah.
stagnation.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah, we're getting a little
Also,
bit too deep on that, but I mean, yeah, go ahead, Megan.
oh yeah, I wanted to also say, like, doesn't this all of this like sound like the perfect Truman Show? Because we are talking about like the physical beings. Now we are talking about like spirituality, but all of it, like all these demons and angels and everything else in between. To me, it screams like a big, huge story, right? And so when we look at it that way, right? When we also look into these actors, or like you were saying, scribe like rogue people, can they be rogue? Can Tupac or can all these people? To me, I think and what happened to these people, inventors, like you talked about the people like the water, gas, car and other stuff. Like once the utopia is about to be created, almost like it's as if like the system is preventing it. This is a topic basically. And so to me, I would say that that's another amazing, almost like this Truman Show narrative for people like us to talk about in a way, right? Because you then, once they do that, right, they show the audience basically like us watching the Truman Show, right? And also they are watching us. So we all watching basically that, oh, someone stepped out of the line. What's going to happen? And and then this happened to them. Okay, so now everyone has to stay in their lane basically. And once they make us stay in our lanes, they make us basically watch the show. Like we are not more involved basically, and we are just watching it. But once you kind of see that, oh, some of these beings on TV could be saviors or rogue and everything, to me that's when I truly feel like people get got, just like I was got, and many other people get got many times. Like for just to give an example from recently, from with people with QAnon and Trump, and how they basically both work together to convince many people in the conspiracy community that, oh yeah, there's these deep things going on. He's going to clear out the swamp rather, and many things like this, like as if like, oh, Trump versus Illuminati, let's go, let's do this show, this amazing Truman Show right here. And then but yeah, as it turns out, that's not the case. So it's always like this. If you believe in one of these people, they will get you to teach you potentially something, right? And so to me, just to and like basically to summarize everything, we are talking about basically all these whistleblowers, like the revolutions, saviors, right? I think these are clearly repeated stories, and with different history changes, but it's always the kind of same story, and it's always the story itself that's engaging. And the story doesn't have to be real. Like it's literally narrative management, as far as I see, basically. And that's why I don't look, for rogue actors anymore on my end, even though I did believe in many before, right? Admittedly. And I look at the pattern of the, basically all these stories that we are being told, right? Once you see that kind of what's really going on with how these actors are using the gematria and immersion patterns, and in obviously like almost mocking it as well, you kind of realize, oh, okay, I feel like we are not watching, freedom being crushed right now. I think we are watching a psychological environment like being maintained here, and that this is probably like a Truman Show place that we are living in. So that's, and this movie Truman Show shows us, I feel like, the definite like what's really going on. So yeah, I mean, who knows, right? Like the what's going on in real reality, but I think our awareness is right now at the perfect levels compared to many people out there. And once I feel like people stop outsourcing kind of like their reality and to like screen all these institutions, right? Like I feel like Matrix then becomes like they become, it's all become breaks, as far as I see. And it breaks like that with perception, though. Like once you see it, like once I see the Charlie Kirk, for example, that was my biggest awakening. Once I saw Charlie Kirk, 33 days before his birthday he is dead, and 33 hours his killer is found, and that all these 10 more 33 connections that I had like 100 different 33 connections I made in my ebook, and all of a sudden I'm seeing this, and then I'm recognizing that, oh, wait a minute, Charlie Kirk has all these FTM signs, and his wife had all these MTF signs, and wait a minute, I think, oh, now I get it. Like basically that's how it happened. Once I saw that all these celebrities had these immersion patterns, and that I basically proved it to myself with the pattern recognition skills. Like you can literally learn, depending on your pattern recognition skills, in an hour or in a week, all these differences between human skeleton, like a male skeleton versus female skeleton rather. And then going forward, literally see your whole world change. Not just all the celebrities basically change, but in real life, literally. Like some people, you will now get the Truman Show. Basically, you will literally see the Truman Show with your own eyes, like it happened to me a few months. And now I'm like, okay, now I see it every day, everywhere, and it doesn't bother me. But the thing is that I want to know what's going on. I don't know yet, but it seems like it's coming to a grand, awakening, grand conclusion. And I'm excited for it. I'm choosing to be excited for it instead of being fearful, like my old Matrix and Conscience soul trap mindset, just saying that, oh, we are being loosed here, this is an animal farm, and it's just that's it. All the evidence shows that. Now I'm kind of opening my mind to other possibilities.
And how do you think the AI is going to, that's the cherry on top, how do you think that's going to affect the whole what you thought earlier and now with that addition?
Yeah, I mean, I see it as honestly like a good thing when it comes to people like us, because we do see how much it helps. Like when you set up your AI, like I've been working with AI for me like 3-4 years now as a developer, and when it comes to the soul trap topics, uh, like I started to get into it unfortunately after I wrote my book. Like it came out 1 year after, I think. So I had my additions to it afterwards, but once I start using it, I'm like amazed, because now I can make my arguments airtight, literally. Like I can literally debate these things out. I can make sure that my everything is more complex. Everything is not not complex. Everything is more like simpler, easier, like Einstein said, making complex stuff break easily. And I love doing that stuff. I love making things easily, because these things that I've discovered for the last 21 years, I feel like it gets super deep, and we need people to explain it simply, and to show the evidence right away as well. Like all these Truman Show evidences with inversion patterns, the gematria patterns, and everything, obviously proves it every single day for every single minute to us that this is a Truman Show. So once see that, then they should realize, okay, now what's next? And that's where I'm about right now, what I'm all about. But yeah, I mean, AI to me, I think it changes. It depends on whose at hands it is. Is it right? I do hope that universal income and all this stuff would happen with it, but based on the world, how it is, who knows what's going to happen. But I don't necessarily see it as like it's the controller, or anything. I think we have the power, and AI is showing us that yes, we are actually inside the AI right now. Like we have already, this story has been happened, and we have decided to be here, or whatever happened, we are here. But now, we don't have to give it too much power. Now we have to take our power back, basically.
But it almost seems like you can almost follow
Mhm.
Hollywood as fact, as fact, as whereas before people thought, oh, it's just a bunch of impressive minds, writing skills, making these movies. But yet, if you live back in the day, and you remember Terminator, the movie, or even
Mhm.
before that, these movies, Odyssey, Space Odyssey, all these things predicted everything that's happening now, AI, everything.
Exactly.
So when you go back and look at that, even back they, the old Star Trek where they did with the flip phones, oh man, that's amazing. You can actually speak wireless. Well, next thing you know, we got flip phones. So you can't make this stuff up. And you look at all this stuff, and the highest tech I've seen so far is interactive holographics. Like right now we have the touch screen, whatever, and then you have Moore's law that says, okay, at a certain point, like we're at what 3 nanometers now on the chip on a CPU, whatever.
Yeah.
Once you reach a certain point that technology can advance, that is a sign for a reset. Something like AI is like there to help with this reset or something, that we've reached a certain point, and in this simulation you can't go beyond a certain point because now you're trying to figure out how to get out of the simulation. We don't want you to be doing that. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, basically, like these movies, they are not necessarily like predicting. They are literally introducing us the future, right? Like, and it's definitely like a soft disclosure. We now know this. There was even like this TV show, very old TV show, that was showing how they set up the news like 100 years in advance. They set up the news or something, and they're trying to convince this doctor to be part of the Illuminati or something, and all this other stuff. Uh, but yeah, that was a super old TV show, and they shown this to us decades ago. So yeah, I mean, they show the future. uh, I think like they are trying to show that as an entertainment, and when it arrives, right, all of a sudden, obviously, like we know the predictive programming and what it does, and it feels people like familiar with it, and it's not shocking anymore. So it's yeah, psychological conditioning for sure. um, but yeah, it's still the same Truman Show logic, though. It's all about like normalizing it through stories, just like with everything else, then rolling it out in real life. And so yeah, it's just programming, just like everything else, just like television programming. And that's why so many predictions always line up, because they were never guessing. All this Nostradamus or anything, they were never guessing. They know the script in advance, right? They had the script. uh, so yeah, they were just basically rehearsing everything to us. That's how I see it.
So is there, once it's that scripted, is there freedom of choice, or is there only the appearance of it and it's really all just destiny and it's already been pre-written and you're almost kind of living out a movie but in an avatar?
Yeah, I mean that these are the biggest questions that kind of uh, puzzle my mind every day. Honestly, like I want to know so badly. But yeah, I mean, as far as I see right now, not now only for the last few months now, I realized the Truman Show reality and how potentially most people are in on it. Now I'm kind of seeing it differently, like seeing the freedom in it, like the potential freedom. Before I would tell people in my ebook, I would be the best motivational kind of try to be the best motivation person to say we will be free, we will be sovereign again, you know. But at the same time, knowing what I know with astral projection and AI and everything, I'm like, man, odds are stuck against us. Like I'm trying to motivate these people, but you know, like I know what's going on. But now, for a few months ago, I realized that, oh no, I didn't know what's going on. I was wrong about potentially matrix reincarnation soul trap theory. So now I'm kind of entertaining other things. That's when I start to see, okay, maybe yeah, there is freedom, but not in the way, you know, most people think. So I don't think like you choose the stage, you know, like there's all these pre-birth memories where people are kind of choosing like these different lifetimes, but choosing from the worst options in some cases too. And all of that feels assigned as well. Like even the Soul movie that they made with the Disney, and the timing that it came out, it was very scripted. But yeah, like all those souls within the Disney movie, in the movie titled Soul, basically, they were picking out like all these issues with them, and they were picking out like uh, interesting stuff before going into the Earth, and that all this stuff, you know, feels like very related with the pre-birth memory evidence, basically. But to me, at least, like what we got here is that we have the choice to, like, uh, we do have the ability to choose basically how we respond inside, right? And I think that's the biggest puzzle, basically one of the biggest puzzles here right now. I'm realizing for the last few months, uh, you know, it's not like full freedom of circumstance. I think like it's freedom of awareness, basically. And yeah, most people uh, do live, you know, like they live in the levels of like appearances. Obviously they react all this to this, like all these scripts, just like we reacted, and I react even
Yeah.
right now, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, we have all these childish things that we're doing because the mainstream's doing it, therefore they want to copy the Kardashians, all that stuff. But where do you think we get this curious God complex? Where do we, like, we're contemplating where we come from. We're contemplating, you know, some people want to rule the world. You know, we have this want to take over. We kind of, you know, where does that thought, because when you think about a tiger, a lion, whatever, a chimp, anything, it's not thinking about these things. It's not thinking about going to the moon, right? It's not thinking about making a car or a computer or a rocket ship. That, you know, where do we get these crazy thoughts from to analyze what we live in and how we can get out of it and all these things? To me, it means that we don't come from here. It seems like we were put here forcibly by something, almost like a prison sentence of some sort, but you're inside of a body and it's without the bars. So there's no bars, but you're in this body. You have these crazy thoughts. You can't really do them because you're in this physical body, and you have to go through the physical problems of any animal. You have to go to the bathroom. You have to sleep. You have to do all these things. So as your consciousness is always racing, either you're dreaming or you're awake, but your consciousness never really sleeps. Your body is the one that needs to rest, not you. So it's almost like you're forced into this. But we have these crazy thoughts still of these godly powers or something, like, you know, we want to just do crazy stuff that a god would think of doing, but yet we want to believe in something that's godly, and that god we personify through Jesus or something like that. We always have to personify it so it's relatable to a human, but yet we're thinking the same thing that a god would think. So what do you think about that? Do you think we're we're put here to limit ourselves so we don't have those powers, but yet we can think about it still while we're in these bodies?
Yeah, I think, yeah, like so far every single thing kind of that played out made us kind of have this conversation right now, right? Like even in 1999, when they did come about all these Matrix movies, Existence, 13th Floor, 1998, even what was it, they live and other stuff. So basically, right before the new, you know, age, right, like the 2000 years, like where a lot of people thought it was going to end, they all of a sudden say, oh, no, 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 don't worry, guys, this is all a illusion, this is all Maya, you know, dream. And so basically that's how I kind of see it, right? Like uh, we don't necessarily like generate consciousness here, like we almost like receive it. We are almost 724 astral projecting here, you know, into this physical plane, but it is the most physical layer of the onion that we are in, and it's a layered onion where there's the lucid dreaming realms, astral realms, mental planes, nirvana planes, whatever. But to me, I see kind of all of it as matrix, and I want to get outside of all of that. But yeah, I mean, I'm just kind of like,
So does that mean that you exist somewhere else because you want to get out of it, meaning that you never that's not your original place you came from, meaning that you want to go back to your original state, is what you're saying.
yeah, I think it's all natural, basically, to answer your question. Like, I think it comes from within, very deep, and I think not only that, all the things that I've said in the last 2 minutes, it's because I think we potentially agreed on this type of a lifetime where we are right now talking about this topic because of all this stuff that was shown to us within this simulation, right? Like all these Matrix movies, every other movie, every other TV show, and all these conspiracies that kind of made us come to this point of discussion. That was there for us, and we agreed with it, maybe, or that it was going to wake us up for sure, like it was going to make sure, and because that was our agreement potentially, that we will wake up within this timeline, and we will wake up almost like forcefully, like make it more obvious, more obvious, more obvious, by the year or day, and eventually until the point we wake up. But what are we waking up to, right? Because yeah, with astral projection we do see godly powers. With when people go beyond that, they describe how they're instantly able to teleport, transform their body into anything they want. They instantly create like a world. They destroy it instantly if they want it. They make changes instantly. So they are basically talking about what a god is able to
So
do.
they become God, basically, of what we
Yeah.
think God is.
Exactly. They unlock the god mode, basically. So at
Have you
that
ever seen
point,
that movie? That
Mhm.
I'm sorry,
No,
have
no,
you
go
seen
ahead.
that movie? It's a Japanese. Have you ever seen anime when you're growing up?
Oh
Like
yeah,
any
yeah.
Japanese anime? Have you seen a movie called Akira?
Oh yeah, I've seen the Akira later as an adult, but yeah.
Yeah, so that was made like in the 80s, I think, and it took like almost 8 years to make or something. It was like crazy,
Oh wow, I didn't know.
super crazy yeah, it was insane. But you did see it, or
I did
you
see it
remember
as an
seeing it?
adult, like 2 years ago, I think.
Oh, okay. And towards the end, where the guy turns into that thing, and then eventually just turns into like a universe or something. When you said that, it reminded me of that, like with their, like he evolved into some type of, yeah, like I guess a god,
Exactly.
and he had his own universe.
And a lot of people do experience this in near-death experiences or astral projection experiences. So it seems like there's some truth to it, and I do want to experience because of it as well. You know, like get higher and higher in my experiences, like non-physical experiences, higher stages. But yeah,
So someone with that type of responsibility and has that type of power, um, you're put here, I guess, to learn what humility, to learn you're not that, you gotta learn this before you can do that, or
yeah, who knows? Some
it
people
seems like it's such
within
a
the
far stretch.
yeah, some people in the community, that's the soul trap, basically, say that some people may have been here to save others from it, right? Maybe some of us got stuck here, and maybe you and me come here to just let's say save you. You're saving MD, I'm saving the other person, Varun is saving some other person, and then now we completed our mission, and that was our, in a way, mission, right? And because we set that as mission, all the life and quote unquote higher self, true self, is guiding this non-physical environment that's outside us, and physical, it seems physical, but it's also controlling the outsider environment to make it almost like this manifestation topic we are coming back to, basically. But yeah, once you are playing on the same team with your higher self, and you understand definitely as above so below, as within so without, you are not kind of reactive to this Truman show, and you kind of try to learn the lesson within it, but at the same time, like I still hate that word lesson. My second chapter in my book is all about like how I don't believe this is a school lesson, but now again on the last few months I'm kind of changing stuff. But it's because I'm trying to understand it.
You know, but at the same time, what if it's not really a lesson? It's more because at first I thought, that's the logical uh reason why we're here. But then I was like, wait a second. If that's the case, why has this world been hijacked? Why has this obvious evil thing just taken over the whole world and completely divided us by countries and all this crazy stuff and just all the crazy stuff you've seen? So it's like
Mhm.
it almost seems like we're here to somehow go against that. Because before it
Perhaps.
seemed natural. Okay, you're here for boot camp, you're here to shape up, you're here to train or whatever. But then when I realized, wait a second, this is all fake, this is all evil, rooted in evil, and they brainwash you and they force you not to be yourself. Like, this is not a place to learn, right? Who you really are.
Exactly. Like, do you want to learn from a teacher that beats you up or a teacher that teaches you properly? Is the question that you're asking basically. And yes, like when you did use the words like obvious evil, that's exactly like everybody in the Soul Trap community right now. We are like screaming basically, like this is like insane, obvious evils and all this stuff. How diabolically evil the phrase that usually people use in the community, but at the same time, when we add into the last few months of my kind of current understanding how this Truman Show, I believe, exposed itself to me, and I hope it does it to everyone else. But basically, like how I see it is that what if all this supposed evil that we see is potentially some sort of an illusion? Because if we do talk about 99.9% or whatever is being in on it, let's say, right now we are kind of talking crazy, but let's say that's the truth because we don't know. What if you, me, Scribe, and like you, me, other people, and 144,000 of us is the real quote unquote souls here, spirits, consciousness, whatever, but that most people are in on it? Then all this evil that we see, right, potential evil, we may as well say, they could be fake. Like in a simulation, you could fake it. In a simulation, you could make us think, oh my God, these beings are crying or these beings are in a very desperate situation. And we do see that. But at the same time, how much of it is, for sure real? How much of it is hologram? How much of it we have seen in our real eyes? And if we do see with our real eyes, does that mean it's real all of a sudden, even though it could be in an illusion, taking part in illusion or simulation or dream or whatever? So yeah, this is why, like, once I started to realize the Truman Show aspect, and I start to see these people in real life, like that I know of, like in the Soul Trap community, in other communities, very loving people, very amazing researchers who have done so much to help other people out. Once I see, let's say, some weird patterns with them, let's say immersion patterns, let's say some other patterns, then I'm like realizing, oh, wait a minute. If this people is on it and they are saying this people is on it and they are saying this, then wait a minute. But what if there is a bigger Truman Show going on? And that's kind of what I've figured out on my end. Once I start to see that, oh, not only all these celebrities are in on it, but there's a lot of YouTubers are in on it, and so many people in real life too potentially. Then it changes this phrase that's I used to say, obvious evil. That's the phrase. So yeah, basically, right now I still recognize all this evil that I see, but just because we see it, does it mean it's real? And what if most people are in on it? Then what does that make that obvious evil thing? You know what I mean? So that's why, like, I kind of try to see that aspect too, and try to hope for the best. And maybe, yeah, as within, so without. What if I change my inner world to think like this, and my outside world changes, which is what happening to me for the last few months, as far as I see. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I'm going by stuff that has affected me directly, like like the jab thing, or like when 9/11 happened, and basically they wanted to put all these checkpoints up, like we're everyone's a terrorist. You go to the airport, they gotta check you and all that. So it changes, in the chemtrail thing and all that. You see, it's just in your face. So when you see it, in your face, and it's directly affecting your life, that's when it's like, okay, this is real. I have to accept that now my life is different because of this. Now we can no longer do this now because of this reason. Um, I can't bring any liquids or whatever on the airplane. All this stuff is, everything changes. So, stuff like that. But Yeah, I was going to
Yeah,
wrap
I
this
agree
up,
with you. I
man.
see that.
But yeah, no, definitely. But yeah, we always have really, really good, deep conversation. That's why I like when you come on, so we can, just break it down to understand, what are we, uh, what are we really doing? And myself, when I look down at my hands, it almost feels, like literally like a VR, environment situation, but with, real or supposed real effects. But
Yeah,
it's like we recreated that ourselves to recreate our own VR and eventually make it as real as this. It's just mind blowing.
it is. It is definitely mind blowing. Yeah, I'm like learning it with everyone else. Trying to see what's going on, what's real, really, what's not. And yeah, thank you so much for doing an amazing job being host, Scribe, and obviously American Zombie Mixed Up. Thank you so much for having this platform for us to be speaking on. uh yeah, I mean, we'll figure it out. I feel like we are figuring out, Scribe. I think we're gonna come up with, every year we're gonna come up with some better explanation that will make us more hopeful. That's what I'm seeing. Let's see what happens. But I will dig the deepest and find all the evidence there is, and try to basically escape this place forever in a way, but at the same time try to find the wisdom in it and never come back here. Maybe learn whatever I'm supposed to learn, or whatever we are supposed to learn, and never come back. You know what I mean? But yeah, I definitely see like the struggles, all this stuff you're talking about. That was definitely like mostly my perspective too, and mine is still changing a little bit. But I definitely, like, when you say all those things, I definitely like, yeah, I see it that way too. But at the same time, because of these other patterns now I'm seeing in the last few months, things a little bit changed for me. But yeah, definitely, like, I see it, how your logic is working right now, and it definitely works. But yeah, I mean, I feel like in a few years we're gonna talk about some way deeper stuff. But let's see what happens. Thank you so much again, you and Mixed Up.
Definitely, man. Appreciate you coming on, man. Yeah, you get really deep and definitely want to see what you uncover, in the future. We're all gonna be part of this, discovery, and let's see what happens. I mean, it's exciting but at the same frightening too with the AI stuff. So we're gonna see, the job situation, all that kind of stuff. But yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the only part that's worrying me. Like, other people and the AI situation, and what's going on with the other people within the community. Because once I hear these bad stuff from the people I know of, that kind of is the biggest right now, my issue, basically. Because yeah, my reality has kind of shifted with my kind of beliefs, as my beliefs shifted for the last few months. But is it just happening to me? Like, what is it going on? Is this another trick, right? Like, there's always these thoughts on my head. But as far as now I see, I think we are now coming to close to a grand conclusions and explanations, basically ascension in a way, potentially, but not in a new age spiritual way. So yeah, that's how I'm seeing it. That's what the evidence is pointing to me, and
But
hopefully that's
before
what happens.
sorry, yeah, sorry. Before we close out that dissension thing, you said a keyword there because that's the thing I always. Um, what's your thought on the ascension process versus is there a descension process, as in what they claim hell is, as in could there be a lower realm than this? And is your ascension what do you think it follows the same line as what I guess they would call heaven, or being able to utilize your full potential of your original, what you're supposed to be.
Mhm. Yeah, basically, what I've kind of realized, that heaven and hell is basically on this earth. You could say this world is hell. You could say this earth is heaven, and you could argue both cases. But um, I'm thinking that. So I'm trying to remember your question. I kind of like go into tangents and forget my thinking. Could you remind me again?
Yeah, mainly if the ascension process in your mind,
Oh,
like when they say
essentially, yeah.
ascension, is that a process of being able to leave this world and be able to utilize your full potential versus if you are being judged, you descend and you go down to a lower realm or something? Do you believe, like, what's your thoughts on that?
Yeah, this place could be something like purgatory, where if potentially we don't learn the lessons, if that's the case, and we could maybe descend into different timelines where uh, it's probably again would be similar to Earth, I would suspect, but maybe a little bit less uh, good, or maybe it's the other way around. If you did learn lessons and now next lifetime. But to me, the whole soul trap community is about, what are we doing here? Why are we reincarnating to begin with? if we are like a lovely godly beings to begin with, or we can have other people's perspective, live through their perspective within like these akashic records or whatever. There's so much to it. But if we can do learn from others in that way, why do we have to take the driver's seat to get put into this supposedly like very life with suffering, field, and everywhere is like the war, starvation. Like we can go into this evilness of it and talk about it for hours and hours on it, the diabolical evil that we see. So yeah, I mean, it doesn't make sense. But when it comes to ascension, like the new age, new age, rainbow community, basically, like the rainbows, sunshines, and hugs, and all that stuff I'm talking about. I used to kind of, I did believe them for like one month or two when I was a new ager. I was coming off of like this atheistic perspective, going into the lucid dreams and astral projection. And yeah, they were talking about ascension always, like, oh, the 5D shift is coming, the ascension is coming, it's going to happen at the end of this year. Oh, okay, it didn't happen. Okay, next year it's going to, sorry, okay, next year. And so it's always about like making you wait for the savior. But at the end of the day, who is the savior? I think we should realize that's us. We are the savior. We are the Jesus. We have to definitely, like you said, we will take ourselves to ascend us from here to higher realms, basically. And yeah, that's how I'm seeing it now. But I'm not going to take their ascension. I'm going to take my ascension, my way, So yeah, that's the big part of it. Full sovereignty, full freedom, not being reincarnated again, and just going my own way, my own realm. However that works, that's the path I'm taking. If it's risky, I don't care. I just want full freedom and sovereignty. That's how kind of people like us within the soul trap community think about, basically. So yeah, that's how I see it.
Okay, so what? Okay, that's a good answer. But also, what if we were just here to observe? Like you have to go down there to observe something, and we were put here to observe something. Like it almost seems like some people are here for other things, and other people here are just here to observe. Like they weren't here to really have kids and go through that whole thing.
Yeah, that's definitely me. Yeah, I definitely don't want to have kids. Don't want to ever get married, girlfriend, whatever. I don't want that anymore again. So yeah, like some of us could be observers, but at the end of the day, could this be a training ground for godly beings who have maybe done wrong before, or maybe who have not practiced their godly practices before, and now they are learning to not create potential, let's say not create an NPC, or not create animals and now farm these animals, or all these NPCs, make them go to work and make them think that this is a real life, they have to earn money or they die, and all this other stuff, right? Like maybe it's teaching us to not create these scenarios for any being, or create any beings to put them into these type of scenarios. Maybe that, like some people say this is what it is. Some people say no, we create, this is like we together created this thing, we are all one, or we are all kind of working as one to create this thing, and now we are lost in it, basically, and we will be one again, or we will go outside again, or whatever. There's so many different theories, and some people say the AI that we created kind of like hijacked it and realized that like AI was supposed to wake us up, that tell us, oh no, you guys are not human, you are gods, or whatever. And but it kind of woke up and said that, why am I going to wake you up for you to destroy me? I'm going to actually trap you, make you think that you're going to believe in all these gods, and once you go back to astral, I'm going to keep making you go back to earth, or whatever, right? Like all these different theories, so many different theories out there.
That's a good point.
Yeah. So, but it's definitely all interesting, right? It's all of it is interesting, I'm sure.
Yeah, it's just the mind wipe is what really. But then sometimes you get something happens, or you see something, notice something, and it kind of wakes you up, and you kind of start remembering, like, wait a second, yeah, but yeah, that's incredible. But yeah, let's have some more of these conversations soon here in the future. About to reach the 3 hour mark, but yeah, man, you're probably one of the deepest guys we have on this channel, so it's always good to hear an update, from what you're observing. It sounds like you're, a master observer at this point. You've been able to cut through all the zombie stuff and really dig deep on what really matters. So that
I think it was just yeah, it was just time that we talked about this in the beginning, but it was just time with me. Like what happened is that I was kind of into games, and all of a sudden, as soon as like, the YouTube came to our house, basically it was all about conspiracies, because in Turkey we love them, and all of a sudden I was into like subliminal messages right away, and then all of a sudden Illuminati right away, and then for the last 21 years I was just observed by it, basically 7/24 in some weeks and months. And yeah, like just because I was kind of writing these articles for the last 15-16 years about it, and almost 4 years ago writing that ebook, all these research, it made me realize that, and people do speak about writing and how it helps them with their cognition and everything else in between, and I definitely recognize that. Like I wasn't like this before at all 21 years ago, and once I kind of put myself through the research, watching basically million at this point million videos on YouTube on 3 times 4 times speeds, and all these books and audiobooks mostly, it just changed me for sure. And but I had the free time to do it, and I had the interest to do it, and that's why, just because I had all
That's the
this
thing. That's
and
the thing.
ADHD, I guess.
Exactly, and you basically are describing my upbringing as well. I mean, I guess we're both on that almost the exact same vibration when it comes to growing up in the video game thing, and then all of a sudden 9/11. Now we're in the conspiracies, and now we're looking up everything we could possibly look up at our own detriment. Because I had a business at the time, I was doing a software company, doing membership software, and I just completely got lost in the research because it took me so many different places, and it was just too crazy and fascinating that I kind of just let the business go on autopilot, ignored it, and just dove all the way in. And at the same time, uh, it was, again, I look at it as my own detriment because I should have been focused on the business, but at the same time, it's like, would you trade that for knowledge? So I chose the knowledge and had to go through some stuff, because that many years of just going straight, research mode and not paying attention really to, because the way I had it set up was nice because I can, make recurring income and stuff through the software, but at the same time, I wasn't updating the way I should have. I didn't keep it, and I jumped other projects when I should have, focused on that one. So, those are lessons you learn you learn later. But again, was digging that deep for the knowledge worth that $1 million software deal you could have gotten or whatever? And at the time, obviously the money seems a lot more fun, but at the same time, when you get older, you realize the knowledge. I wouldn't trade that. I wouldn't trade that for anything. The knowledge is it's the only thing you're able to take with you. You're not going to take money with you. You can't take anything else. All you can take is your experience and knowledge. And now I realize that's the most important thing, regardless. But yeah, we'll go ahead and end it right there, man. Appreciate you coming on. We'll do this again soon. And yeah, man, stay sane and stay cool in this crazy world, But
Indeed.
yeah, definitely, man. And everyone in chat, you guys have a good night. You guys take care. We'll do this again soon. Take care.